Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mr. E Crimecast. I am Mr. E, joined by Mrs. E. And also joining us remotely is Aunt E. Hello, Aunt E.
Hi, good evening.
And I'd like to welcome everybody that is here in the chat. Starting to, after doing the few episodes now, I'm starting to recognize some names that have, a few of you. Susan Smith looks like just became a member, and I think I remember you from the last episode. And
Hi, Susan.
Dana
Thank you.
K. And we've got Merge. Good evening to you as well. Um, well, we.
Adrian.
Oh, is that Adrian also?
Adrian's back.
Adrian?
All right. So if you ever see us refer to Adrian, it's because Adrian, I think it was our very first episode.
Yes.
We was our only listener that we had, and so we just basically had like a 2 hour conversation with Adrian, getting to know about his music and everything, and so we'll always remember Adrian doing this. So glad to see you back here. Also, Dana K, I remember you maybe from the last episode or before. And of course we've got Olivia helping us out as a moderator. And I apologize for starting a few minutes late. We tried to, as much as possible, start right on time. We just had a little bit of trouble with the sound, and hopefully have we got that fixed, Mr. Producer?
Not yet. I gotta fix the mics.
Got to do something with the mics. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just mute for a second.
Olivia.
All right. So here we go. Auntie, how are we there on sound?
Sounds great to me right now.
Okay. Perfect.
Welcome in.
Yes, I'd like to welcome everyone in. Kind of reading through some of the comments here. We are of course back at our regular location with our dogs dancing around in the background. We are back from our vacation, so we're a little more comfortable here for us that way. Of course, we don't get to be in person with Auntie like we were before. So we had thought that this would be a night.
Every time.
I know.
Every time. These dogs don't do this
don't even
all the
do
time.
this.
But every time.
I'm not sure. It's like a pregame show or something. We've got back here. Funny.
I'll take care of that if you want to keep going.
Sure. So our original plan after we finished our last show at the end of last week was we were thinking that we might do a different story tonight. A different. We had kind of discussed a couple of different ones to go into because we really have dissected this story and. I had thought, well, without any breaking news, maybe it's time to kind of start looking at some other things and revisit the Sebastian story, maybe every other show or something. And then, of course, the last couple of days have just been unbelievable. There's been tons of information that's come out, so we just had to scrap that whole plan and go right back to the Sebastian story. Because I mean, even setting the JLR stuff aside, Seth had that interview that he just did. And then some other little bits and pieces, and it's the JLR interview that just blew our minds. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about there, first let's for those of you that are new to our channel overall, we are for the last few weeks we started the channel mostly because we wanted to bring a different look at the Sebastian Rogers disappearance. Sebastian Rogers went missing, was reported missing on February 26th. By his mother at 6:20 that morning, and what began as seemingly maybe a runaway or a missing child, over time has begun to look more and more like a potential crime. And then after this last interview that we're going to discuss tonight, I think even more so it will look that way. We've been following this story, of course. It's taken all kinds of twists and turns. And our approach has tried to be one of ignoring rumor and focusing on the facts that are available to us and trying to use logic and reason and expert analysis by folks like Peter Hyatt and others to try to whittle down what the untrue first and then see what's left that could be true. So, for example, we went through the possibility of Seth as as having anything to do with his disappearance. We did a whole show on that. To our satisfaction, we've eliminated him as a suspect, really, at all. I know he claims that he is still a suspect, and maybe he is to some extent, but with any direct involvement, we believe we've eliminated that. We've also looked at various paths that Sebastian might have gone, different scenarios that could have happened with him as a runaway, and we kind of keep trying to whittle this down until we find what is remaining and what truth is left. And this interview with Bobby really brings that into focus. So JLR Investigates, of course, is a very popular citizen journalist, does a lot of great work. He covers a variety of cases, but he's been, the Sebastian story has been one that's been a real focus of his for the last 3 months. And he landed a great interview with a lady named Bobby who lives in the neighborhood of the Proudfoots. And she's like she's kind of one of those neighbors that's been there since probably the neighborhood was first established, knows everybody. She runs their Facebook page, so you kind of get the sense she's probably at the center of the social scene. And, I know that there have been neighbors in the past that have spoken out, but they've done so anonymously for the most part. And so that kind of stuff we kind of tend to ignore because if you're not with an anonymous, you just, a lot of times that stuff just doesn't turn out to be accurate. So we just try to stay away from that. But this lady was willing to put her name out there, and really, it was really brave of her. We're very thankful that she came out and spoke. I'm sure her neighbors are glad she did also, because I think they're all frustrated. Listening to this interview that JLR did yesterday, and I think do we have a link on our?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Yes, we do. I'm looking at the chat. I'm
sure.
sorry.
We'll have a link on our description somewhere, I suppose, to JLR.
I will add a link
Okay.
on our description. I forgot to do it beforehand. I'm just kind of looking through our chat, and I want to welcome some people in. Rocky had a nice comment. Thank you, Rocky. Merge says, good evening. Good evening, Merge. Let's see. Amber Martin, Little AM, Sebastian Strong, and of course our amazing Olivia, who is our amazing moderator. We are looking for more moderators, so if anybody's interested, please let us know. Let's see. And of course, Adrian. We love Adrian.
Yes. Good to have you back, Adrian.
And we also have some members here that we already said that Susan has become a member tonight. And then Tiffany's here. Hi, Tiffany. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being a member. We appreciate you. And Sue is here. Also a member. Thank you, Sue. Hi.
Merge says that it looks like there's some news that they think is about to break.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Which wouldn't surprise us, because it seems like about every 24 hours there's a new thing. I mean, you keep thinking this case is going to go cold and there's not going to be anything to discuss. But man, this is a ton of information that we got from Bobby.
Just in the past 2 days.
I know. And then, there's the Seth interview, and we could discuss that to a certain extent, but it pales in comparison to this Bobby interview. This is maybe the other than maybe the first couple of Proudfoot interviews, probably the most important one that I've heard come out since this whole thing started, because this isn't someone with an agenda. Usually, if it's Seth or Chris or Katie speak, they've got an agenda. There's something they're trying to accomplish when they speak, and this lady really, it seems like what her motivation is that she's frustrated, and that she is frustrated with law enforcement, and she feels like she's been not getting the answers and lied to, actually, is what appears to have happened. And so she took the opportunity to speak out, and maybe that will spark something. It might actually get things moving a little bit. It certainly brings things into focus for us. It confirms some things we suspected. It actually presented some new questions, and of course there's the bombshell. from the whole thing that we're going to get into also. Do you have any other comments that you want to point out?
Well, Tiffany was talking about faith.
Oh, yes.
She says, in all my years of social work, I have never had a judge give a child when one went missing from their home. I've never heard of that either.
That's amazing. But can we confirm that happened? I have.
It's my
seen
understanding
that.
Faith is coming for the summer.
I know, but can we?
But
other than Facebook
hearsay.
groups, I haven't confirmed that.
That doesn't mean he has custody. It just means he has visitation, and they would have to have some kind of court proceedings in order for him not to receive the visitation he normally gets.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It seems. Yeah, I agree. It seems shocking to me though that she's going to be going into this situation, if for no other reason than just the stress that this child is going to be under, because if you listen to the Bobby interview, the whole this was something I hadn't really thought of to this extent. The whole neighborhood has been under siege. They've been like hunkered down. When you hear her talk about it, it's not just like, oh, well, yeah, the police were there. There's been some camera crews. It's like a daily a part of their lives where they haven't felt like safe. They've had cars just constantly coming and going. I know we've been a couple of those cars that have come through. So
we haven't done it ridiculous.
No, I know.
We went for our own curiosity because we couldn't figure out. We couldn't.
Yeah, we
couldn't
visualize
put it together. We couldn't visualize it in our mind. And then once we did, that's when we kind of said, "There's no way."
Right.
This happened the way they said it happened. So
yes.
I just wanted to point out a good point by Adrian.
Adrian, yes, people are wondering why 3 months later there are a few points where it looks like she is chasing fame.
Oh, I understand. He's talking about the neighbor and why would she wait 3 months to come out and speak? And I kind of feel like her reasoning for coming out and speaking is because she's fed up with law enforcement not being honest, not telling the truth, or just not being forthcoming with any information. And I think her biggest concern was the fact that they don't know if they need to be watching their children so closely because there's a predator, a kidnapper, or what's going on out there. And with her children even being involved in searching, she wanted to make sure that her neighborhood was safe. And I don't think she's being ridiculous to do it. I don't know if she's chasing fame. I don't know about that, but I do feel like she kind of is probably at her wit's end and feels like coming out and giving information will maybe open the case more, and hopefully law enforcement will respond with some more information to the public.
Yeah, because their lives, I agree with you. I think that's her motivation too. I think it's particularly that conversation where she goes to them about the lights on the garbage truck. And he tells her, he says, no, those aren't flashlights. That's the garbage truck over in the construction, which is impossible. When you look at the footage and everything.
I looked at the full frame footage today, and there's no way.
Yeah, it's clearly, if that's what he said to her, it was a lie. And maybe he has to lie for the investigation. He can't tell her the truth. But I think when someone gaslights you like that, they tell you something to your face that is not true. You can prove is not true, and they straight face just lie to you. It would make me angry, even if they're justified in it. I know law enforcement; they're not obligated to tell us everything they know, but we're human, and when people lie to your face, this is something I don't understand. Why didn't they just say, "This is I know the footage you're talking about. We have an ongoing investigation. I just can't discuss it, but trust me, it is part of all of the video that we are going through." These things take time. We have not overlooked it. We have it. And you're not saying anything one way or the other about what these are. But when you really just, you call someone's sanity into question almost, by telling them, oh no, what you're looking at is a garbage truck in the, like a half mile away, through a row of houses, then a row of trees, then another row of houses, then another row of trees, then a construction site. It's impossible. She knows that's not the truth. So I don't blame her for being frustrated. When people lie to your face, it makes me angry. So I don't blame her for coming out and speaking out about it. I think, even though I think law enforcement's doing a solid investigation, I think they're on it. I think that they're building a case. I don't think they've handled their PR well at all, because the public is turning on them, and they need the public on their side. And it doesn't. They don't have to do a lot, but just to occasionally come out and say, we know your concerns, and we're aware of all of this information. We're going through this every day. We're working, but just lying to the public, and when they come in concerned. I mean, this lady lives in the neighborhood. For all they know, they've got a monster living next door to them. They don't know, or some other predator.
She even made the comment in the interview. She even made the comment. She said, if they would have even just said, we can't tell you what we know, we can't tell you anything right now because it's part of the. She said, if they just said anything except dismissing and saying that she was incorrect and that it was the garbage truck when it clearly wasn't. I mean, anybody can look at it and see flashlights moving. Anyone can look at it, and they know what time their garbage truck was in their neighborhood. They know for sure what time it comes, what time it goes, and it was nowhere near that time. And they have a car that they know was not a car that belonged to anyone in the neighborhood. So I mean, they just bold-faced lied, and the fact that they didn't even put her off by saying we can't tell you made her mad, and I think that's why she came forward. And I don't blame her. And someone did comment she has now exposed her kids. Her kids are homeschooled, and that I don't think that's an issue she has to really worry about because her kids are pretty well protected. But someone did mention that. I think it was Morning Ray. She said now she's exposed her kids, but I don't think that's an issue.
I'm really behind on the chat. I'm trying to produce more than actually talk.
Okay.
I did want to say hello to one of our members, CR.
Hi, CR.
And Sharon Marlowe and Charlene. You're very sweet. I've got a sunburn, so I might be scratching my back most of this episode. And then Susan, of course. Hi, Susan, again. And I'm just kind of going through everything. And Sharon Marlowe, I'm still laughing about watching Dolly last night, too. I laughed until I cried.
She literally did.
I don't laugh. That's the thing is I don't laugh at other things. I might laugh at something funny that happens at the house, but I don't laugh at, YouTube videos of people falling down and things like that. And I laughed until I cried. I couldn't catch my breath last night. And I will never
She
look.
does not get like that very often.
No.
But it's always fun when she really gets. So we got to thank Tony for that.
Yeah. And I will never be able to look at the time 12:02 ever again in my life the same way.
Yes,
so
you have. It was a lot of fun watching you laugh about that.
I had the best time making jokes about that last night on Dolly's chat. I had tears coming down my face. I was laughing so hard. If you guys haven't seen that, I would highly recommend watching the Dolly show from last night. It's crass. I'll tell you, it's crass, but oh my goodness, I laughed hard.
It is just another thing about the insanity of this whole situation.
Yeah, it's just insane.
It takes a right turn very sharply every day. So
it does. I mean,
literally. And then let's see. That's Olivia. Hi, Olivia. She's saying hello to Joella. Hello, Joella.
Joella, I remember as well. Hello, Joella.
And Merge says, wow, a producer. I'm impressed. I'm not really a producer. I'm just trying to keep this thing running.
Maybe they were referring to Mr. Producer, too.
Oh, maybe. Dana Kay says, I have 2 Chihuahuas, producer. So I understand. I kicked them out. And Olivia has my Chihuahua. Pug barks constantly. And Kathy Matthews says she's excited to hear our take on the interview. Let's see. Karen Power says, hi, E-family. Olivia and subscribers, hello.
Justice Jane, I remember. Welcome back, Justice Jane.
And Karen McIntyre. We've got your picture in our house, yes. Karen. You're our first member.
Hi,
Just
Karen.
kidding. We
Welcome
don't.
Back.
We don't, unless you want us to. Then we will. Yes, Justice Jane's back. Hi, Justice Jane. I'm just kind of going through everybody. Sorry.
So
Oh, and then Rocky said that Bobby's the Miss Kravitz of the neighborhood, and if anybody that's our age, you may not know.
I don't know this
She
one.
knows.
Miss
I know
I
Kravitz.
she
definitely
knows.
know.
maybe-
Mrs. Kravitz was the next door neighbor of
Oh,
Samantha and Darren on Bewitched.
She was across the street.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm sorry. She was across the street.
She could see over into their yard and their front yard, so she was always across the street looking out the window at them.
So like a nosy neighbor kind of situation.
Well,
Is that
she
what
was
you-
always
He
like,
knows his
"There's
name.
wacky stuff going on over there," and no one
Yeah.
ever believed her. So
No, nobody ever
Yeah.
believed Miss Kravitz. But
And-
I actually believe Miss Bobby.
yeah.
Oh, yes.
Well, and
Yes.
Merge says she's a brave lady, and I thought so
Agreed.
too. But
I
I
do, too.
understand her frustration. And I was in a lot of chats today, just kind of seeing everybody else's take on it, and a lot of people were just kind of making fun of the fact that people didn't have security systems and that she was so, the neighborhood was so traumatized. But I think people don't realize that this doesn't happen here. This is a fairly safe place to live. So when things like this happen, it's jarring.
Yeah.
I don't know in the history of us living in this area, have we ever had anything this close to us before? I mean, other parts of
there's-
Tennessee,
there's-
but not.
There's some crimes that occur,
But
and
not-
there's some stories. Anywhere with a population.
I know, but it's not. It's just not a
But
place
it's
you
not
feel
like-
unsafe. It's a bubble.
But there's never been a story this big
No.
in this city. I don't know how this story's not the leading national story every day. It's so incredible to me. When we read this.
Oh, sure.
Sharon Marlowe, there comes a time when we have to stand for what is right. Our children's safety screams, speak up.
That's right.
Yes. I think that's what she's doing. I think, well, maybe even for her whole neighborhood. Because I bet she told her neighbors that she was going to do it first. I think she's probably that kind of person. And
I'm kind of curious. Rocky, do you mean neighborhood, or do you live in Sebastian's neighborhood? That's a question I have for Rocky.
oh,
And let's see.
or do you have a lady like that in your neighborhood? Because
And
it's true. It's good to have people like that. We've got people like that in our neighborhood where
Absolutely.
we've got a neighbor who has great security cameras, and like anything that happens, he's got angles.
He's got every angle.
he's got-
You just call him up and say, "Hey, somebody tapped my mailbox,"
Yep.
and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, give me a few minutes," and he'll come back
It's
with
like
the footage
8
for you.
doors down. And
Yeah.
He's got the license plate number and the name of the company that hit up.
Right.
And it's good. I mean, it's good to be aware of strangers coming into your neighborhood and all of that. So those really are good things. And I don't think she's I don't think this is like a gossip situation. I think she was frustrated with law enforcement. I think they feel like there's no end in sight to this, and they want normalcy back to their lives. She talks later. We're not going to go into this as far as the video goes, I think, but there's a point in there where she's talking about some of the rumors and how painful those have been for the neighborhood, like the affair rumor, and how this family's been called swingers and their children are getting bullied at school, and that kind of level of impact had not occurred to me. I mean, I knew their lives were probably inconvenienced, and that there was probably some fear and some worry about what's going on over at that house, and unwanted attention and that kind of thing. But to the level where the kids are getting bullied at school, and I didn't quite think of it getting to that level. But it's just like a little bomb goes off in your neighborhood, and it affects everybody out. It affects everybody. I'm sure it affects the kids at the school too, because the teachers, the administrators, the kids, they're all getting questions. That people are trying to get information anywhere, so their lives are not going to be normal. People can't sell their house is another thing that this Bobby lady says. So if actually, this has brought me to another point. So one of the rumors out there has been that the Proudfoots are going to sell their home at the beginning of June, which obviously didn't happen.
Because I check every day.
But after hearing Bobby talk, she said that when these other two people tried to put their homes up for sale, they just started getting inundated with these questions and people that were curious about the case more than real buyers. Can you imagine what would happen if the Proudfoots actually put their house on the market and had an open house. It would just be like YouTubers just
Oh my
coming
gosh,
through
I can't imagine.
undercover, hidden cameras, right?
Trying to get the dirt.
Yeah, people just trying to, faking they were
Well-
going to buy and getting to the point of sale just so they could get to know them.
You shouldn't
You
be
know that's-
judgmental about that because I have a feeling if there was an open house, you would be there.
Right, we would be there.
Yeah.
If they had an open house, we would be there. Well, but that's
Can't
what
be
would happen.
judgmental about that
Oh, I'm not.
because I think it's just we all are so it's all just gnawing at all of us. That's what gathers us all here. This is why we continue to talk about this.
But that to say, they're not going to be able to sell that house unless they so they can't go anywhere unless they take a hit on their. I think most people value that home around $700 unless they're willing to discount sell. I don't think anybody's going to pay full price for that home and introduce themselves to the chaos of that. And I don't know if they can even find real buyers hardly, because they're going to have to sort through all of the curiosity seekers. So I think they're going to be stuck there for a while. But it was just that was another thing that hadn't occurred to me until after hearing that interview.
Well, let's see. Oh, I meant to click on Susan.
Sure.
Susan says she has a neighbor called the Informer. It's funny, but she's grateful. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's better than not knowing people in your neighborhood and not knowing when strangers are there, or so I yes, it's a good thing in a way.
Before we get started, I just want to again thank everybody for being here, and I would appreciate it if you would hit that like button so that we can get pushed up in the algorithm so more people can find us. My goal right now is for us to have 2,000 subscribers. It's a personal goal. So,
It is.
oh my goodness, KT. KT just became a member. Welcome, KT.
Thank you, KT.
We were like,
appreciate
what
you
should we
joining there.
do when we get a new member? Should we, I don't know, get some confetti or,
What is the ribbon on KT?
I don't know. KT, what is your ribbon? I can't see it.
I can't make it out from here. Well, anyway, welcome, KT. We're happy to have you join as a member, and
We do have memberships available if people are interested. I can put it on the banner, I think.
And we're very thankful for how quickly an audience has found us, that we found like-minded folks that are interested in looking at this story this way. We basically, the reason we did the channel was we were having these conversations, and we were talking through these theories, and we really couldn't find that conversation online exactly the way we were having them. And so that was kind of how it started. We thought we wanted to get our thoughts and theories out there and share them with people and discuss them with others and get challenged on those theories and hear new ideas. And it's been really
Sorry.
fascinating. Yes. What did I miss?
Morning Rays, GGG. Y'all need a slogan like the E-Team.
The E-Team.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Do we get struck for that? I don't understand
You
YouTube.
just cost us a nickel.
I just cost us something. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't even know how that works yet. So,
Okay.
Kate, what does
Okay.
KT say here?
From what was said, it sounds like something happened near the retention pond and the discarded in the dumpster.
Yes. So
Yeah, we probably should get to it.
Yeah, let's.
We've been talking for a while. Oh, Kathy Marsh says, can y'all turn your mics up? Let's do it. Let's see if this helps.
Get a little closer here too.
Yeah, I keep telling him, I don't know if you guys can see it off camera, but I keep going like this. I'm micromanaging.
Yeah, I do have that on my list.
Is that better, Kathy? Could you let us know?
Oh, testing 1, 2, 3, testing.
You're all loud and clear for me.
Okay, great. It's probably me turning my head.
Yeah,
I
he has
turn
a
and
big
look at my
problem with
notes.
that. We don't know where to place the camera
I'll try to-
because if I don't look at the camera, people say I'm on drugs. And I need to look at the computer so I can kind of manage all this. So anyway.
Well-
Oh my gosh! What is going on with memberships
Loki!
tonight? I have to tell you something, Loki
I knew you were gonna
James.
say this.
When we were naming our first child, we were going through a baby name book. And one of my final names was Loki. Because I thought it was great that was, the Norse god of
Mischief.
mischief. Yeah.
Yes.
And so that's hysterical. I love your name. That's great.
Yes. Well, we always think, and then Avengers came out, and then it's like, probably glad we didn't do that.
Ultimately, he was named after a superhero, kind of. But anyway.
Yes, yes, in a way.
I was very easily influenced during pregnancy. I'll just tell you that.
So what we did, we're not going to go through the entire. I know. Well, I'm sure a lot of folks have just taken that entire interview and just gone second by second with it. That's not really the approach I think we're going to do tonight.
We're going to go in sections.
We're going to go in sections, the things that we thought were the most important, and really changed our perspectives on different things, and go from there. Do you want to start with Katie's morning?
Sure.
We could go to the 7:40 mark.
Sure.
So,
I'm just making sure that everybody gets recognized,
and thank you,
because
Loki,
I
by the way,
appreciate
for the
everybody.
membership. We appreciate it. So let's do that when you're ready. So,
What?
Have you got something?
Bed Crime Stories just put up the leaked videos of the car and the flashlights traveling through the ditch by the house's backyard.
So I'm sure we could start there if you want instead.
Sure.
If you want to start there, because that's the bombshell. If you want to do that, we'll start at 24:30.
Well, okay. Well, I mean,
but we need
this
to find
Katie thing won't take so long, and we can't. That's kind of against the unspoken YouTube rules. We can't. You need to wait until someone. If they just posted that wouldn't be cool of us to talk about it on our channel.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of an unspoken rule. I learned that from watching other people.
Well, I probably need those rules spoken to me.
Well, that's why I said it. That's why
I appreciate it. No, I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, I just think that's uncool to do that. So, but it's my understanding that JLR is fine with everybody using his stuff. So I'll pull it up here. I've got it set up to the place that you asked me to set it up to.
Which one are you at? Which place?
I'm at the Katie's Day.
Well, we could start there and then go to that.
It won't take long. That one won't take long at all.
So this is after she's being asked about Katie's morning, and it's a little hard to follow because she talks in tangents a little bit. So, but if the timeline that timeline 6 o'clock to 7:30 has been really elusive, so this helps to bring it into focus. And so when she starts talking about times, that's what I've been trying to pay attention to try to figure out when she was actually leaving the home and going to beach and coming back, and the buses and all of those things.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try to play it now. All right.
So looking for passion, like she claims.
Right. So there's so many different things here, because the neighbor that I actually spoke with, that I'm friends with, she's the one that has the camera on the corner of Stafford and Kellen. And I'm not going to mention her name, but she's the one that the camera footage got leaked without her knowledge and her permission, that everybody has seen. But I've directly spoken with her. And then I also have directly spoken with a couple other neighbors that live very close to the Proudfoot's house. And the neighbor that I spoke with the very first time that morning, she said that when she was taking her kids to school, Katie was already back from just back looking, and the kids have to be in school at 7:30. And so she normally leaves the house at 7 to take her kids to school. But Katie was already back and in the front yard, and all the cops and stuff were there. So she stopped for a minute to talk to her, took her to school. My neighbor that had the camera footage told me that her timeline is not working correctly. But when she puts it all together with the sunrise and then the bus coming through and all of that, she said it was approximately about 6 o'clock, 6:15, 6:20. It was right in between supposedly when she discovered him missing. Supposedly she gets up, she runs around the house, she gets dressed, and she drives out of the neighborhood and that kind of thing and goes looking for him. But I know the neighbor next, if you're looking at the Proudfoot's house on the left, when she went running out of her house hysterical, the neighbor next to her was already out. You know, of course, everybody's getting up, getting ready for work, getting kids ready for school. Bus comes 6 7 no yeah 6:45 6:50 ish.
Okay.
6:45 6:50. It's been a long time since my kids have ridden the bus, so I have to really think about that one. But it's definitely
Okay. So, putting this back
Yeah.
up. Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
So-
first of all, I just
yeah.
want to acknowledge we asked Kay why she had her ribbon, and she says that she has lung cancer. And I just want to let Kay know that we'll be praying for her, that everything works out. I will let you know that I personally am a cancer survivor, and I don't know if Aunt E wants to share anything, but Aunt E is also a cancer survivor, and our daughter is also a cancer survivor. So we do believe that you can beat this. So just wanted to let you know that, and we will be praying for you.
We'll be praying for you. Absolutely do that tonight. So sorry to hear that tonight, but we'll be praying for you this evening, and yeah. So sorry to hear that news. Yeah. So I guess I didn't know that. I didn't know a silver ribbon was the. I didn't know that. So
I'm not good with the ribbons.
yeah, I'm not either. But I don't think I'd seen that one before. So there's a lot there on that clip. One of the things I did not know, maybe you all knew this, was that Sebastian was a bus rider, and I kind of had been wondering it, and I hadn't heard that in any of the interviews, but that changes the whole morning for me in a lot of ways, because if you're looking at that timeline, if we're putting together what she just told us, so Katie goes in to wake up Sebastian at 6. By 6:20, she's calling Chris, right? She's already called Chris sometime before 6:20. Then does she call they call the police at 6:20?
I went through the timeline again today just because. See, Chris Proudfoot says that at 6:20 is when the police were called. But if you go through the timeline and listen to the dispatch says that they were called at 6:33.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yes.
I've been working on this a little bit today, and there's another child we're going to talk about later that I've been working on as well.
One of the things that the neighbor said that I took notes on, she said that Katie was seen driving out of the neighborhood about 6:15 to 6:20.
Right.
And that really messes up the timeline that we've been given or had in our head from the interviews that they've given.
Yes. So, okay, right. That is what she says there. So she's waking up Sebastian at 6.
Yeah, Karen's right.
They call the sheriff at
It's
6:33.
at 6:33. Yeah, because
despite what they've said.
I mean, sometimes the dispatches can be incorrect, but sometimes the information can be incorrect.
Well,
but I mean, we heard it from the horse's mouth. They said the call came. They asked. They said, "What time did the call come in?" And the dispatcher said 6:33. So that's what we're going with.
So Katie's in the car around 6:15, 6:20, leaving the neighborhood. Chris is calling 10 minutes later.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Calling
Oh,
on
okay, I'm catching on.
supposedly supposedly a three-way call, although I don't know if we know that Katie was actually on the line. They say she was, but we don't have a recording, so I don't know if we know that. So she's already been gone from the neighborhood for maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes, somewhere in that range, right?
The neighbor said that she was back before 7.
Right. So, and that the bus comes at 6:45. So we've got Katie leaving at 6:15 to 6:20. Sheriff's office is called at 6:33. On another dispatch, they start calling officers at 6:39 to go to the neighborhood, because I listened to that today. So officers probably didn't arrive there till maybe 6:45-ish, 6:50. I would guess it'd be a 5 or 10 minute response for them to get over there. The bus comes at 6:45. Katie is gone before. So from what we've been told, the police were at her home before she got back, right? So she's gone from 6:15 until at least 6:45, maybe 6:50, a half hour? Is that what we're saying? That she was looking for him at beach for close to 30 minutes?
It's
25, 30 minutes?
And she does mention that the camera got her leaving, so they did have her on video from one of the cameras.
Yeah, but where is she?
Yeah.
For 25 minutes.
Because it's a quarter mile to that school. We've driven it. It literally takes 1 minute and 15 seconds door to door.
So she could have circled that school 100 times and come back, and it still wouldn't be taken. What was she doing? She didn't go into school looking for him, I'm assuming. And plus,
Robin,
Sebastian's a bus rider. Sebastian's a bus rider. Why would she have thought that he would just skip the bus and walk to school?
And that's something that
without shoes.
Said.
Without shoes.
That's what Miss Bobby said. That she said he has never walked to school ever. Why would he that day decide he was going to walk to school barefoot?
But that timeline's messed up. That's a long time to be gone. Did she go somewhere else instead of beach? That's what I want to know.
I just
wanna
don't
know
what
where
I
else
don't
she
understand
went.
is why we haven't been able to see this footage at all.
Does she?
The beach has cameras. We know that. We need to go
that's
over
all
there.
Police evidence now.
Yeah, well, we've gone. We need to go over there because people have asked us to record.
I'm
it.
sure at this point the police have asked Beach not to.
I'm not. No, I don't mean get their footage. I mean go over there and see where the cameras are placed.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. No.
But I there's no way she just sat up there in their parking lot for 20 minutes, knowing that the police were coming.
And it would take literally to drive around that school, even if you did it slowly, would take maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
That's
maybe.
a lot. That's a lot of time. If this neighbor's corrected or even close, say it's 6:20, that's at least 25 minutes, maybe 30, maybe even more, because she just says that that she's there before 7, so we don't know exactly how far before 7, but it's got to be because we know the police get there before Katie, and we know the police were called at 6:39 because we heard that dispatch today. So there's no way they got there earlier than 5 minutes tops, right? I mean, that'd be about the fastest you could imagine.
And that's probably with school traffic as well. You've got cars, parents dropping off. It might add another 2 or 3 minutes, but it's not going to add long to the.
So they're getting there around a quarter till or later. So Katie has like 30 minutes almost of unaccounted for time. Where was she for that 30 minutes? So that would be, if I ever had the opportunity to interview Katie, that's a question
You need to make your list.
Yes, I'll put that to the giant list of questions. Katie, where were you for 30 minutes besides beach? Because I know you weren't just sitting in their parking lot for 30 minutes.
And Susan Smith says it would not take that long to drive to school. I would want to know if she went into the school. I'm going to say no, because normally schools are locked here until they start letting students in.
Yeah, you'd have to get buzzed in.
Yeah.
And there, you certainly would be on camera for that. I mean, they do have the schools pretty secure that way. I mean, you can't, even if they know you got to get, you've been going there for years. They're not just letting you in.
I do want to address this, that she went to meet with Chris Proudfoot's mom. Chloe, I believe the former PI for Seth, had said that she had talked to witnesses that stated they saw Chris's mother at the Warsham's grocery that morning about 5:45. But,
we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know for sure.
That's just something that had been reported, so I'm just stating it.
I take Chloe seriously, so I think she trusts her source.
Right. I don't think she would just put something out there.
Yeah, she had at least one source for that, and then there's a couple of other sources in other.
And then Adrian, does it share in the dispatch when the sheriff's officers arrived? It does.
It does, actually. What we were listening to.
Adrian, I'll put the put the timeline. Yeah. It's only about 20 minutes that and I'll put it in the description after we're done with the video. That way you can look at it. But
it's a dispatch timeline that you can actually.
It's great.
Hear. Yeah, it's really good. You can hear all of the calls and going back and forth between.
Very well done.
Yeah, it was good.
But I will put that in the description. So I'm going to put JLR's video in the description. I did tag him, so people could go to his page. But I'll also put this other video. It's escaping my mind right now, the name of the creator. So,
We'll
Okay.
put it in there.
And Scott Family says, I wonder if the school has cameras. I'm pretty sure the school has cameras.
They do.
We just, I was saying that maybe we should drive over there and just kind of get footage of where the cameras are in relation to the school.
Yeah.
And Kay says thank you to everybody. She had a lot of support going on there while we were talking and listening to the video. So,
Well, good. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it touches everybody, and we
We have another new member.
oh, we do. I actually know this member. Thank you, RH.
RH
Rock
Rock
Designs.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
You're very sweet.
Rocks. Maybe we should just say
And
RH Rocks Designs.
yes.
Do it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I am going to reply back to your text right now. I love you too.
Oh, so it's a person. It's a personal.
It's a person.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
RH
you.
Rocks
You're
Designs.
very sweet.
That's very nice of you to do. So
Let's see.
yeah, I'm just kind of looking at the chat here to see. Yeah, I some of these things we're going to end up talking about. Robin, corrupt Tennessee police.
Yeah.
I think that might be what Bobby's wondering too. I think that's on her mind. I think let's see, Dana Kay. Could Katie have brought Sebastian's shoes back home and then claim he was barefoot?
Actually, I don't think that would have been if that were the case, like that she actually did do something to him. I don't know that would be the smartest thing to do, because that we learned early on investigating this that it is a common question for police officers to ask if all the shoes are accounted for when a child goes missing. That is because oftentimes when something nefarious happens in the household, the people forget to do something with the shoes.
They forget about the shoes because most people in their home are not wearing their shoes. So if they pass away in the middle of an argument, fight, whatever,
And
if you're
they're
trying
and
to
it's
get them
covered
out
up.
of there,
Yeah.
you're not thinking to lace up some shoes.
Right.
And it's an oversight. And so that's one of the first questions they ask.
Because and people don't wear shoes at home normally.
And I bet somebody's kicking themselves every day thinking about those shoes.
Yeah, but we did read from a police officer right off the bat that is one of the first questions that they ask the parents.
But I don't know the reason they would have, if they were wanting, you'd have to think what benefit would it be to have us believe that he was barefoot.
Because if they were,
it only makes them look more guilty.
Right.
If they were wanting to stage a runaway, the way they
Right.
have done it would have been pack up a 10 of his shirts, his underwear, his toothbrush, his phone, his Game
favorite
Boy,
things.
you know, like a backpack's worth of stuff, make it disappear, and then say, wow, he's gone. These things are missing. The shoes makes them look guilty. So that would seem more like a mistake rather than a deliberate to me. Would that be your take? I guess it would.
Yes, it is. I'm just reading some of the comments.
So do we have it? Do anything else, Aunt E, that you want to talk about with the Katie's car that morning before we go to the next?
I
one?
haven't even gotten all. I'm running down the comments as fast
Well, we
as I
appreciate
can.
all the comments. I mean, this is.
I'm just trying to,
I think it was
thoughtfully read everything and
Yeah.
make sure that everybody gets acknowledged.
one of the things that I thought it was that the neighbor pointed out is he did not ride a special needs bus. He rode a regular bus. And there was a special needs bus that came through the neighborhood, but he did not ride that. And also the fact that she said Seth was there by 8:30, and then his truck was there for about 3 days, parked on the curb. So he was there pretty frequently throughout the next 3 days after the 26th.
Yeah, and I think him being there at 8:30 is about right. His shift ended by 8:30.
I think he said he got the text at 7:20.
Yeah, his shift ended at 7. If he gets his text at 7:20, it's that time of morning probably would take him about 30 minutes to get to the home, and
Right.
that would put him there around 8 o'clock. So that's about right. That's what you would kind of guess. And all of her story lined up pretty well with Seth's story. So about them talking in the yard a lot and his truck being around. So that all seemed to corroborate.
You want to do that one?
So Karen Alberini, it seems like she left twice and called Chris before she left and then called three-way, then went back out during the three-way call.
I don't know if that's. I
don't
don't
know.
know if I don't know if I caught that.
I think she
I
was
know.
gone an extended amount of time, and it seemed like she should have been able to come back and forth. But I think she only went out one time.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you, Bobby was excited. You could tell Bobby was excited in the interview. So the first 15 minutes, she's amped up, and she was kind of all over the place a little bit. So it was kind of at times hard to follow. But if she did say she left twice, I didn't catch her saying that. She was changing her times a little bit.
Yeah, I think she was like bursting to like tell her information because she was, and like many of the parents around here, we're kind of fed up with all this. We're fed up with the not knowing and the law enforcement not letting us know. Like I've said a million times, if he was abducted, we need to know that. We need to know that there's someone abducting kids in our area. If he was a runaway, we need to know that.
Right.
And I feel like the transparency has just been terrible. Do you agree? Are you reading comments?
Yes,
okay.
I apologize.
That's okay. That's
Take
great.
that opportunity to
That's
catch
great.
up on some comments there. Yeah, I mean we're
Oh,
all.
this was one. Yes, Kay. That bugged me too.
Oh yes,
That bugged me big time.
JLR did a good job of trying to get her pinned down on this with Bobby, but so KT says KP never drove through her own neighborhood. I mean, right? I mean, that's the whole point about the bus. So if he's a bus rider, if the bus were coming at 6:45 ish, then you would think maybe he was out on the side, out on the side of the road somewhere. Maybe he had walked up the street to talk to some kids or anything. You would drive around the neighborhood first before you would run to the school. Very suspicious behavior. At this point, we've just got red flag after red flag. Any one thing like that, maybe we just dismiss it as her being in a panic. But there's a lot. There's a lot of these red flags. But that's definitely one. You would even ask the kids on the street. You would come out you would go to the bus riders that are hanging out waiting for their bus and say, "Hey, have you guys seen Sebastian this morning? I can't find him."
I'm
But
sorry.
she doesn't do any of that. She just goes straight to the high school. Yeah, you got a comment?
Yeah.
Debbie R. 1202 VI. I know. I don't think I'll ever see that time, like on my clock again.
And not laugh.
Unfortunately,
I mean, just when you think something weirder can't happen in this case, weirder stuff happens.
Yeah.
Anyway.
and I know your thought is that it was probably just a weird shadow, right? And it's just such an unfortunate thing, but that's kind of what made it so funny to you.
It was. I think this comment's really good, and it kind of goes back. Jane may not have heard our discussion earlier, but she said, "What took her so long? For God's sakes, can you really believe her?"
Oh,
I do think I believe her because she shared a lot of details about the neighborhood. She said in their neighborhood they actually have 3 law enforcement people, and one is with the Hendersonville Police Department. So if she's out there telling lies, they're going to be coming to her, these police officials that live in her neighborhood that know the truth. So I really don't think she's lying. Like we had said earlier, we think she's just fed up with the lack of communication and the lack of information and not knowing, if this isn't some kind of abduction, are their children safe and what can they do to make their neighborhood safe again? So that's kind of where we feel like this neighbor has come out, and I don't think she's going to be lying because she's got too many people that know what's going on in the neighborhood, including 3 law enforcement officials that live there.
Do you want me to address that?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
I just wanted to address, I'm new to this chat. How many neighbors are speaking out? I only saw one lady in a car on a previous thread. Yes, somebody called into Dolly last night. She was...
Not Dolly.
Uh-huh.
They're talking about the neighbors.
The neighbor.
I know. How many neighbors? They only saw one lady chatting in the car. I am telling them that last night, late night after the 12:02 discussion that went on for hours, a lady did call in, and she is best friends with a neighbor that's right there. And she had some interactions with Mr. Proudfoot as well. And she said she's in the neighborhood enough to be considered a neighbor, essentially, is what she said. So, I don't even know because the way how slow we're going, I'm not even sure we're going to be able to get to that part of the interview yet. But she did call into Dolly late last night on his last night video. So, and she was kind of corroborating some of the things that Bobby said. Also, Bobby did call in on Terry Lynn a few hours into Terry Lynn last night. I think Terry Lynn went for 12 hours, which God bless her, because I don't even know how you do that.
And then Karen Power says, I thought it was strange that the sheriff officer that Terry Lynn handed a Sebastian flyer to the other night said he lived there and that he thought Sebastian would show up soon.
Oh.
That's interesting.
I don't know what to believe from law enforcement anymore.
Right.
I want to.
You want to go back?
I want to go back. I want a Tennessee nurse.
Oh, sure.
And maybe it's just the UT in her. But
yes,
so
he does
nurse,
have bias for
I do
UT.
recognize Tennessee nurse because of the Tennessee. But so I'm not sure who you're responding to, but nah, she didn't meet seat.
Time out, Auntie. They still think you're louder than us.
Louder in a bad way or louder in a good way?
I think it's just the mic.
And Kathy, bear with us. Auntie is going to get a microphone.
We are working.
We are
efforting a new microphone. I think that's what it is. We've kind of gone back and looked at the episodes where we had that comment, and I think that's all it is. But so I'm not sure what you're responding to, Tennessee nurse. I'm sure somewhere else back in the chat, but she didn't meet Chris Proudfoot's mom for a handoff. He was handed off when those flashlights appear. Chris Proudfoot's mom was just waiting close by for the call. I still say it was all orchestrated.
Good point.
So I think this is going to be a really interesting discussion to have, because we've got these different moving. It's like a shell game or something, where it's like you've got these possibilities of ways that Sebastian left the house, and we're not 100% sure how. Like, because of Bobby's interview, okay, was it either that Sebastian never made it home because she says that trash can was too blurry for anyone to be made out. The other is that it's the flashlights at, say, around 3 a.m. or so. Was that when he was removed? Or was he in her car and driven away at 6 a.m? So we don't, there's these kind of three seemingly most obvious possibilities in my mind. And so it's like which path do we think it is, and are any of these related? Now, I'll just say for myself, I'm ruling out that first one. I think he made it home from the roadhouse, and the main reason, can you guess?
Oh, it's because of the shoes.
It's because of the shoes. Because she would.
It always comes back. It always
comes back to the shoes, because he wouldn't have come. She wouldn't have taken his shoes and brought them home if he didn't come home also. There's not really a great explanation to why, nothing logical that would have made that happen. So we're going to talk about. Why don't we just go?
Tennessee nurse also had another.
Everything happened out the back door. That's why they wanted to focus on the front door. They tell on themselves with the things they are adamant about. Absolutely. If Chris points in that direction, you look that direction. That's just that's the way he's played it, especially early on. He might be getting wise to us being onto his game now, but when they keep telling you front door, then you got to look at all the other doors. And I think you're right. I think it's the back door too.
Olivia says 246 people and only 95 likes. I would really appreciate it if everybody would take the time to go ahead and hit that like button. And then after you do, please let us know where you're from. We'd like to see where you guys are.
So for people that haven't seen...
Oh, and RH
maybe
says we should call RH.
RH. We'll go with RH.
We'll go with RH.
Good deal. Maybe we should just go to the bombshell part of the thing.
Okay, I'm going to skip down on the comments because I am taking a really long time with these trying to read them all. So, guys, go ahead.
There are people that probably don't know what we're talking about.
Sure.
So this, where we're going to go to, this will be at the 24:30 mark. And it will be when we listened to this together last night. And no kidding, we're sitting there. And
are you going to tell this?
So
oh no!
We're sitting out on the porch listening to JLR, and when this part comes up, Mrs. E literally goes, "I I knew it. Like, shouts this out, and that's not the kind of reaction she ever gives to things. She's pretty even, but the look on her face, she was completely stunned. I'm sure you all felt the same way. So let's go to the bombshell. This changes literally everything that we thought we knew about this story. So
Right. But first I want to say Tis Me is from Ohio. Hi, Tis Me. Tam is from Wisconsin, South Carolina. Ginger Girl's from Ontario, Canada. Thank you for joining us. Charles Meyer says, love y'all. Love you back. East Tennessee. CR's from Savannah. We know that. CR, we want to visit you. Southern Middle Tennessee. Olivia's in Florida for the summer. Well, aren't you lucky? We just got back from Florida.
I did.
Louisiana, Northeast Tennessee, Shepherdsville, Kentucky, Arkansas. Let's see, Missouri, Arizona, Florida, Texas Panhandle, Missouri, and another Ontario. Well, thank you guys for joining us.
yes, thank you so much.
Okay, tell me what time stamp to get to, and I'll
Let's
do
do
that.
24:30. Anywhere near there will be great.
24:30.
Yeah.
Oops, I have
Yeah, that's
it.
good. That's
Okay.
perfect.
All right, and so I have to go back.
So she's
here.
about to start talking about the trash situation.
Okay, let me take that down so we can see. And I have to hit play.
Many years. They used to, a few years back, they would pick up around 6:30ish, but then the bus was coming through and it was making it hard for them to come through with the bus, and all the kids were out and it was just chaotic. So they switched it, and now they go down my street about 5:30, 5-ish, between 5:15-ish, 5:20, something
Okay,
like.
did you tell everybody that we were talking about the trash truck?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I missed that part. I just want to make sure you guys knew
Yes,
we
but
were.
it goes into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That every Monday morning. That's going down my hill, though. That's not when they come in and they're going around it. That's when they're coming back down. So, yeah.
I mean, that's an extra, 20 minutes? How long does it take for the trash truck guy to go through the whole entire neighborhood?
And the other misconception is a lot of people are saying that they have to hand dump the trash bin in there. They don't. It's a new truck. They have an arm, and it does it for them. So that was another thing where they're having to pick up these big. No, they're not. They have an arm. They roll it over to the arm, connect it to the arm, and they dump it in. You can hear it. I mean, it's not quiet. It's loud. I mean, you can hear the arm doing all that. So by the time they collect the trash coming up the street, though, not going down it. They're collecting it as they come up. So I guess they're probably in the neighborhood just like around 5, just before 5.
And they're out of there before the buses come.
Yes.
Or the bus come. Or
Absolutely.
you said buses. Where's the trash go?
Oh, it gets dumped in either Nashville or Gallatin. If Nashville is full, they'll temporarily dump it to Gallatin. And then once, I guess, Nashville gets whatever, then they'll transport to Nashville. The big misconception was that the neighborhood behind us, they get picked up by a different company on Tuesdays. So that's a whole different thing.
Is that construction development you're talking about?
Well, that was the dumpster that everybody was asking about. How is it possible that, whatever, that the dog hit over there as well? The second dog that was out walking hit also by the trash dumpster. And the trash dumpster owner found that out when law enforcement told him that we got a hit by the dumpster. The owner of the dumpster called them back and said, okay, we dumped our trash on this certain day, Tuesday, whatever, on that certain day in Kentucky. So you guys need to go and get a warrant, obviously. And he gave them permission to go search the Kentucky dumpster or landfill. So that's why they went to Kentucky. And then I was told that they also checked Gallatin and Nashville as well.
That night, Katie claims, the night of the 25th, that Sebastian takes the trash out after they arrived home from going out to dinner. Go ahead.
There's no specific footage of that. The neighbor that has the Ring door camera that saw that, she said to me.
Okay.
You guys are muted. I don't know if you can hear me, but you're muted.
Okay, are we back?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about
Okay.
that.
Yeah, so I forgot that was a little earlier in that part, but I still want to kind of talk about that anyway. But so that cleared up some stuff too about the garbage. So I think it might have been easy to miss, but so we now know that the garbage comes sometime after 5 o'clock. It was starting to be light out, so all of this about it being pitch black when the garbage truck's coming through, we know that's not true. The idea that it was rolling through there at 3 a.m, also not true. We also know that if somebody had been lifting that garbage, that it was lifted by one of those mechanical arms, so there wouldn't have been a person out there that might potentially have felt it being heavier than normal. So that all kind of got confirmed. It gets a little confusing when she starts talking about the construction, because she says that the neighborhood next where the construction's happening, the people that are already living there, their trash gets picked up on Tuesday, and she talks about that. But separately, she's talking about this dumpster, and the dumpster is the one where you can hear it on that dispatch the first day, maybe 2 hours into the search or so. They have a drone fly over and look in. So some of you might remember this, but there was this dumpster there, and then that's the one that ends up in Kentucky, is that big dumpster for the construction site. So that's not the neighborhood next to them. It's the actual dumpster for the construction in that neighborhood. So those are two separate things. She also says it might have been Tuesday. She doesn't confirm that dumpster went on Tuesday. So we don't know what day that actually got picked up. It might have been picked up even on that Monday or later. But she doesn't seem to know that. She kind of couches that statement. But either way, that's what they were searching. They weren't searching that Kentucky landfill because of the neighborhood trash or the neighborhood next to them, their trash. It was specifically for that dumpster where one of the dogs ended up catching a scent at one point. So that was all some great clarification.
I just want to point this out with Merge, and I agree with this 100%. They could have found things in that landfill we don't know about. And she mentions that, was it in that section that she mentions that she believes that the other two landfills were searched? They just were searched quietly, which is something we had suspected all along.
Yes, she has mentioned that.
Because she also says that police at first were very communicative. That first week, they told them a lot about what was going on. So it seems that they were kind of kept in the loop because they were all thinking this was a missing person, at least the officers on the ground, until TBI came in. So anyway, that clear, all of these things, it clears up a lot of theories. It just brings things closer and closer to the truth as we go on. But
one thing she does say right after that too is about the silhouette. And the taking out of the garbage, which I think is important, because some people have said, oh, yes, they could see him on the Ring cameras. She does clarify that as well.
Yes, she does. So
talking to the microphone.
That might be I think I gave you the wrong time. I gave you the one right before that. But 2920 should be the good one.
2920?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that I got it mixed up.
Okay, let me get that ready. How about 2918? Does that work?
Yes.
All right.
Can't hear her.
You can't?
No, it's real low. The video is very low.
Hold on. Okay.
It shows it's muted on the screen.
But I can hear it.
They can't hear it either.
I know. Okay. Let's see. Why don't you talk and I'll grab our technical person to see if we can figure out what's wrong.
Okay.
I'll have to put the big screen up because our technical person does not want to be on camera. So I'll put this up. So, and I'll you and Auntie just keep talking.
Yeah, I had a couple of other thoughts
and go through the chat.
Yeah, that weren't anyway, but. So that the trash thing was great to get cleared up anyhow, because there had been that one rumor about someone's brother working for that company and noticing one of the trash cans was too heavy and all of that. It seems like that wasn't really a thing, but the person earlier was right, that they could have found stuff out there and we don't know it.
Right.
And I believe one of the dogs hit out there in Kentucky. They just never found anything, or they claimed they didn't.
Oh, this is a point. Izzy Girl put up. Let me show that. She said, my husband that passed was law enforcement. I have a huge feeling that police have a lot more evidence and are building their case. They don't have to be transparent with the public. And that is a good point. It's a very good point. And that's what we're hoping is happening. But I think the neighbors and the people around that are closest to the case just want some reassurance that their children are going to be okay and that they're safe and their families are safe after an incident like this has happened.
Yeah, and I understand why they don't tell everything for sure. What I don't know is, I guess I just don't understand why they don't just say that it's an ongoing investigation and they can't talk about certain aspects. I don't know why you want to make enemies with people, because I think if they had been just a little bit more, just had a slightly better PR, they wouldn't have had that video leak. They wouldn't have, apparently a video has leaked tonight, that they wouldn't have had this lady come forward and feel like she needed to kind of set the record straight on things. So they've got the public not trusting them, and it might actually be hurting their case because of the way they've handled their PR. It's really their fault that people are leaking stuff, and in a sense, it's their fault. I think they could have prevented it, or they haven't been making friends. They haven't earned trust.
Right.
I'm one of the people that I believe also that they are building the case. I think there's every reason at this point to think that, but there's definitely a lot of people out there that think this is a corruption issue, that it's a good old boy system, that Chris has friends in law enforcement that are pulling favors for him. And, I can't, those things do happen sometimes.
Yeah.
There's definitely examples of that. I just the way things have played out though, I think if they really had that good of friends that were willing to do that for them, they would have probably come out and just cleared them.
Right. And
so no, these are not suspects. This is a missing person case.
Right. And your tech person on our stream share, it has the video of it shows the little box of the video, and on my end it shows as muted. It won't let me unmute it because I didn't put the video up. So I think all you have to do is unmute the video.
Okay.
I tried to click on it, but it said because I didn't put the video up, I could not unmute it.
Well, I appreciate everyone's patience with this. Let me go back.
Somebody was asking, video was leaked today. Could you explain possibly what that is?
I don't know, because someone just mentioned it in the chat. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was significant or if it was a new video or not. But I think we're going to get more and more leaks like that, because the neighborhood owns the video. These people can release things as they deem fit. I hope it doesn't hurt the investigation. My guess why they wouldn't release the video of the car would be they don't want a potential accomplice to run.
Right.
That if they realize that they're in the crosshairs, they might. Heck, they might leave the country. We don't know who this person is.
Right.
And so before they can get things together, so I can totally understand why they wouldn't want that video out there. But
somebody said the leaked garbage full footage. I'm not really sure what that's about.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Mrs. E is coming back anytime real soon or not. Maybe I'm not sure. Do you Auntie, do you want to check on the chat here and see if there's any other comments we want to address?
Let's see. Here's one from Deanna. She just said, I think it's law enforcement's duty to inform the community if there is an increase in carjackings, purse snatching, kidnappings, etc. That's what we're saying. Like you had said, they have kind of withheld information, and we feel like they're building a case. However, it would be nice to come out and give official statements to say, hey, we can't tell you what we have, but we have evidence and we have information, and we are continuing to work. I mean, I think just updates would at least put people's mind at ease a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, they're supposed to serve the community, and I mean, I get it. I don't know. I just don't understand the bold-faced lying to the lady that lives in the neighborhood.
Right.
I just think that was unnecessary, and I think it's backfired on them.
I think so too.
I think it was a tactical error for them.
Right. And there's many law enforcement agencies. That's something else she mentioned in the video of how many different agencies were involved from the very beginning. I mean, National Guard, the Sheriff's Department, the state police, TBI, FBI. I mean, there's all kinds, SWAT teams. I mean, there was all kinds of law enforcement involved at the beginning of this search.
Do you think we can do the video?
Sure.
Okay, I think we should be set to play.
Okay, great.
It's like we're building the anticipation for the bombshell part. I first point out the wrong timestamp, and now
And we actually hate that when people do this.
I know. I'm not trying. We really try to deliver as soon as we can on this stuff.
Okay, here we go.
Facing the entrance, somewhere around 3:30 or so, and then the flashlights were actually seen on the neighbor's camera. 2 separate flashlights walking in between the yards, which the trash truck does not do. They don't need to. All of the trash is at the curb. They have never, ever gone. Matter of fact, when you sign up for services, they tell you in the email their rules and regulations. If your trash is not by the curb, they don't take it. Unless, you're an elderly person, you ask them. If your trash is like in the front of your house and you ask them, they'll come and get it like that, but they won't come around the back or in between houses. That's bull monarchy. That is not how that works.
No track. You don't believe that those 3:10 a.m. lights were around 3:10 after 3 a.m. were trash truck lights.
Not only do I not believe it, but the neighbor that has the actual footage swore up and down that there are 2 different circumstances. There was the car with the lights coming towards the car. The car backed up on Kellen and left. And then about 2-ish hours, hour and a half, hour 42 something, they're like she said, the time stamp on the video is not working. It is stuck. She said, but you can tell because it's pitch black dark in the middle of the night when the car comes down the street, turns onto Stafford, sits there for about 3 to 5 minutes. The flashlights are coming from 2 different directions in between the yards. They do whatever they're doing around the car. The car backs up Kellen and leaves from Stafford. Backs up Kellen and leaves. And then 2 or so hours later, as the sun is just beginning to come up, you can see the trash truck. And she said, but the trash truck goes past her driveway. She said, you can see the trash truck and the lights and the back of the truck go past her driveway, go up the hill, do its business, turn around, come back down. And then within a few minutes later, the sun is coming up. And then you can see Katie's car leave, Katie's car coming back. And then you can see all the police come in. She said, it's very obvious. So I asked her why the police are saying that that's trash truck. And she said, I don't know. I'm baffled. Because I tell you right now, there are 2 different circumstances, and that you can tell there are 2 different time frames.
That's crazy. I mean, I know we all knew about the potential of that being a flashlight back there, but another car that was not this Uber car that they had tracked, pulling up into where they're describing is that place where you would pull right into the front of the neighborhood. You have the main road, then it splits to the left. You go to the Proudfoots. If you go to the right, you go up that main hill toward the construction. So that split is where this car was stopped in that area is what she's describing. And so where that is, if if you've seen our video or other videos of the neighborhood, behind the Proudfoot's house, there's like a gazebo and these weeds and their fence.
I might be able to pull it up.
There's
if
like
you want.
there's like a kind of a area where, it's just where the houses meet back to back, and that's where it appears that those flashlights are in relation to the lady's security camera.
You want me to pull it up?
It looks like that's the direction that those flashlights are coming from. So, okay, so we've got two separate flashlights leaving the back of the Proudfoot's estate, heading in the direction, it appears, of this parked car that's there for 3 to 5 minutes before it backs up and pulls out again. I mean, that changes all of it.
Okay,
in my
so
mind.
I'm showing the video again that we did. This is actually going up to the neighbor to Bobby's area.
Yeah,
right?
so this would be going up to Bobby's area. I don't know exactly which house, or she describes it pretty well. So I guess if you really paid attention, you could just about figure out which house is hers. But
we did this so that we could see the distance between the construction site and the Proudfoot home.
yeah, so and this will eventually get us back to.
Yeah, I'm just showing.
I got you.
I'm just showing the people who haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Well, there's a construction site.
Yeah, there's a construction site.
So, I mean, that changes how you look at the whole thing. So if there's people in the house or at the back of the house around 3 o'clock ish,
okay,
why
We're
are they
going back
there?
down.
What are they doing?
I'll pause it when we get to where is it? Okay, I have to. Where do I pause it at? Let's see. Whoops. I don't know how to do that.
How to pause it?
I'm
Well,
not
anyway, we're
sure.
coming
Oh.
around there.
Oh, yeah.
This is the
Here it
space
is.
they're talking about.
Yep, right.
This is probably about where that camera is, somewhere in
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, right there.
That's that dead space back there. The Proudfoot's home is on the left.
I'm gonna go forward.
The other, yeah.
Yeah, right there.
So up in those little trees on the left there, that's where the Proudfoot's house is, up in that direction. And these flashlights are coming from through this area.
So the gazebo
and the
does not belong to them, right?
No,
No, the gazebo's to that house.
they're on the left-hand side of that
Okay.
little ditch.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
So,
I'm gonna try to go forward.
and
just
the car,
a hair.
the
Okay.
way they describe it is
Whoops.
probably parked pretty close to where we are right now.
Yeah.
Somewhere, maybe a little further back, but it's kind of in this vicinity. And so that seems like somebody's coming from the back of their home back to this car for whatever purpose.
Right. Let me go
And,
back just a hair.
I mean, I know we're working with a theory here.
There, that's better.
But I don't believe that this lady Bobby is lying. I don't get any sense of deception from her.
No. And there's too many people in the neighborhood that could negate what she said. And like I said, there's law enforcement in the neighborhood that knows what's happened and what's gone on. And she's actually seen the footage of the car and the flashlights.
So can we discuss this situation? We haven't talked about this.
No.
What are these people? Who are these people with the flashlights? What are they doing?
Well, we kind of touched on it the other night. We were kind of getting into our
Motive.
Yeah.
when we were talking about our possible motive. We were talking about the flashlight video and, or actually, we were talking about a potential third party being involved.
Right.
Yes. And originally, I think we had all sort of dismissed that because you think the more people involved, the more likely you are to get caught. So if you're going to do something to this child, you want as few people as possible.
Merge is just joining us for the first time, and Merge says, got to be more cameras back there. There are. When we went through the neighborhood, we had our kids with us, and they were counting cameras, and they counted over 20 just on that first street that we went on.
And
So,
Well, and Bobby spoke about one particular neighbor that had over 7 around their home in all directions. So there are people that have plenty of cameras in the neighborhood.
so I'm going to go a little bit forward towards their house a little bit for a minute, and we can come back to this. But as you can see, that ditch kind of thing runs all the way back behind these houses.
So if you were in the middle of the night trying to, sneak in, that's how you'd go. You wouldn't go through the front yard. You'd cut through a backyard.
Right.
And
this
you'd
is
hope a
their
dog
house.
wouldn't bark or whatever, but 3 a.m, you're probably all right,
Kind of trying to go back. Whoops.
And of course, so it's really not looking good for them. I don't know.
And you can kind of see the Proudfoot's backyard right here. You see the fence over to the left. That's their fenced-in backyard that we're coming up on.
But I'm thinking if I were wanting to sneak up to their house, that path back there with that gazebo, that's how I'd go too.
Yeah, you can kind of see
that
the
would
fenced-in backyard.
You'd have a little cover with some trees, You could kind of run along that little tree line with the ditch.
Mm-hmm.
And people in the middle of the night, they're not looking out their backyard unless their dog barks. And if you move kind of quickly and it's dark and the neighborhood, there's no lights, there's no street lights, much less in the backyard. So unless you trip somebody's floodlight or something, you're not going to be seen.
That's the side of the garage of their house.
So, I think one of the things that we've thought about Katie is it has been kind of hard to imagine her taking a life, I think. Like, it's been hard to imagine her doing something like that. Just her. It's been hard to imagine her being that person. So
I'm just going back to that area so you can talk about that again.
Just because of her personality type that she seems to have, it's easier to imagine a Chris being violent, you know what I mean, than Katie perhaps. And but I guess I had thought, if she did, it would be something along the lines of an overdose or poisoning, something like that, something that she's not having to physically be involved. But now I'm wondering if maybe that's not the case. Maybe there was a mess of some sort and she needed help. Could that be the case? That they had to have people come and help her?
I still lean toward the third party and it being premeditated, and they were wanting to get him out of the house. I don't know. I go back and forth, but I just feel like if there was a mess, there would be evidence in some way, shape, or fashion inside the home. If there was a mess to clean up, there would be some way that they could find that evidence and be able to press charges based on the evidence.
Except how would you know when Ellie did not do anything in their house? Like,
we don't know what they did. Do we?
Sure.
We don't know but see, if there's people leaving in the middle of the night, we don't know what they removed. If they carried something off.
Right. But it's my understanding, and well, Ellie hasn't come out and said either way, but it's my understanding there was no luminol or anything done in their house.
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
The thing is, if there's you live in a home, you're expected to have some blood at times. I mean, maybe shaving or whatever, or just kids being kids. Just because they find some blood wouldn't mean they can convict on that. And maybe they did even. Maybe they did find some, but they feel like they need more.
I don't know.
I just wonder if something happened, the 11:40, whether it's 10 o'clock or 11:30, that happens. And once that's over, calls are made or something, or it's arranged for someone to come help. I don't know.
I think I still lean toward the theory that there's another party involved and it was planned. Because of the weekend of fun and the proof that the incest interview, he says that she showed her cell phone talking and said he was having a great weekend and showed pictures of him enjoying his weekend. And it's like, why did you have to prove to Seth that he was happy and having a good weekend? I don't know, that all of that just kind of played into me thinking that there had to be some premeditation, that they were trying to give him a fun weekend before they had what was planned for him.
So are you thinking premeditation as in she didn't physically take part, but that this third party in the car came in and took care of it?
Yes. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I know that, it could go 100 different ways, but in my mind, that's how I'm putting together the pieces that make sense.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't know. Another point that Tara makes down here about the dogs, why that night did they say that they put the dogs in the cage if normally they sleep with her? And they also talk about these floodlights on the garage that they're always on, but they weren't on that night.
Those were two different interviews. The puppies not being in the cages when Chris or CP is away came out on the Queen Bee video, and then the floodlights came out on the Nancy Grace video.
Right, and that's two different things. But just the fact that the dogs were supposedly in the cage and normally they sleep with her, what's the reason behind that?
Hold on, Misty Fisher has given us. Let's see.
Oh, it's coming, right? But this is a great point.
I'm trying to make it. Oh, hold on. I'm not good at this, guys. Okay. Hold on. I'm not good at this. Okay.
Yes, thank you,
Thank
Misty
you,
Fisher.
Misty. She's the best.
If there was forensics done in their home, the neighbors would know because a lot of folks show up and they cover windows and all types of things. That's telling.
I couldn't think of how I wanted to say that, but you're exactly right.
Right. You're right. And I don't think Bobby ever addressed or answered a question along those lines that I can recall.
No, but if
No.
that happened, this is such a small community, we'd know it.
Yeah, we would.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe they didn't.
And then Royal Karma Productions believes he ran away.
To believe he ran away.
Oh, to believe he ran away.
Right. I think it's meant slightly sarcastic, maybe.
Oh.
And
then Karen says they hired a fixer to fix their problem with Sebastian.
Yeah, so maybe.
And Ginger Girl says, I agree. Why take a photo at Costco?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Though, I've said this before. In the past, I have taken pictures of the kids when I think they look extra cute, no matter where we are.
Yeah.
And,
sometimes I just have the fleeting thought, I don't take enough pictures of the kids. And then I just take a picture wherever we are. Yeah, so I kind of do stuff like that. So if we get into at this point, you have to consider an accomplice. You have to at least consider, I guess there could be an explanation on the flashlights that doesn't involve the Proudfoot home, but again, massive coincidence, I guess, that it would be, so then it becomes, is this a hired person or is it someone they know?
This is a great point too. Hang on just a second.
I know, I'm trying to keep up with everybody and I get lost in the chat reading everything.
Oh, here it is. The storyteller. She says a teen ran with no phone, no snacks, no clothes, and he didn't like the outdoors, dark, and the bugs, but he left with literally nothing, not even those new snacks that Katie brought him.
Snicks.
Right. And his 3 black t-shirts that keep bothering me.
Yeah.
So now, what if, I know it's awful because I don't want any of this to be true, but it's just where all the evidence is pointing us to me. I'm wondering if these shirts were just gathered up in the mess cleanup.
Oh.
Part,
You're going to get beat up for that one.
Am I?
No, I don't know. I'm just
I don't
kidding.
know.
Well, another thing,
and that's why they don't know which shirt he was wearing because if they were just cleaning stuff up, maybe just got gathered, thrown with some blankets and whatever else, and is part of the mess. That's what it makes me wonder because I don't understand the t-shirt stories at all. We were listening to that again. So he does originally talk about those t-shirts, like in the first week or so.
Driving back from Florida, we listened to the infamous hand video because there's nothing to watch except them tapping each other's hands and rubbing each other's hands.
Yes, the hands video. That's what it is. And he says he says that not to get off on this black T-shirt thing again, but
The
it
black
bothers me.
T-shirts are really bothering
It
him.
really
Yeah.
bothers me.
Mr.
Because
E's had a hard time with these black T-shirts.
I think there's something about the shirts and
You just have a thing with clothes. You've got a problem with the shoes and the shirts.
yeah. I just originally he says, well, the reason we know it's one of those black shirts is because that's pretty much all he wears. Okay, well that's different than what they're saying now, which is that those specific 3 shirts are missing. So he lied again and changed the story from his hands video to just a few weeks ago. Shocking, I know, to everyone that Chris lied again. But anyway, so anyway, there's something about the shirts. It's part of the story. I just don't know how. At this time, I'm thinking it was maybe these shirts just happened to be kind of laying nearby or wherever this tragic event occurred and got gathered up with the rest of the incriminating evidence and disposed of. Because I'm guessing that that's what's happened. That's my theory.
I heard a similar theory on, gosh, they're starting to run together, but someone was doing the blackout theory. They said something similar.
Misty Fisher. I think someone carried Sebastian to the vehicle via the retention pond to throw off LE, and they dropped something off Sebastian was supposed to into the retention pond on purpose. Chris has pointed to the retention pond. Like he almost...
More than once.
Yeah, he wants us to follow that thread, which makes you think that we're not supposed to, right? So maybe it is something like... maybe it is. Maybe it is not a direction we should be going. Maybe it was a way to throw us off. I don't know. I still don't know what to make of but yes, driving over there would make sense as far as there not being a scent that led to the retention pond. Maybe they were meeting up over in that area. Because, I mean, that's really dark in that spot at night. I mean, no one would see you up there. So if that were a meeting point to hand off evidence or swap off Sebastian in some way, maybe Sebastian got out of the vehicle, touched the ground, something was dropped. If they swapped cars, so to kind of...
You need to watch. He hasn't watched the close-up video of the flashlights that someone...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
where you can kind of see images.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
You did watch it?
I
Okay, good. Did you do that today?
No, I've seen that before. I just didn't know what to...
Didn't know what to make of it.
Yeah,
Well,
I couldn't tell enough from it.
I think that other video that just came out that you sent the links to us earlier today was clearer than the original one that we saw.
I think I just sent it to you. I don't think
It went to Crimes.
Oh, yes. Our group, we have a chat group on text, and I call it Crimies because that was our joke name originally. I got made fun of for calling our people the Crimies. So.
Oh, we have a super sticker.
Oh, we do? Okay, hold on one second.
Let me read this
I
real
just
quick,
wanted
though.
to do this real
KT,
quick.
maybe KP led Sebastian to that car to protect him from CP. Yeah, I think
Maybe.
there are theories where it could be that he is alive and that he was smuggled away for any potential reason. Can't dismiss it. It's certainly possible.
Thank you, Lori Stewart. That's very sweet. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you very much, Lori. So Misty Fisher again. Do you want to pull it up? Or are you just reading it? Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Misty Fisher, when you boil it all down, innocent parent of a missing child does not change. K&C's stories have changed. They are lying, period.
I
Yes.
agree.
Yeah.
I
They're
agree.
definitely lying. It's just a matter of why. What are they? I mean, I've really tried to give these folks every benefit of the doubt I could, but they make it so hard. They make it so hard because they don't. Even in this interview, I kind of want to talk about this other part of her story.
Sure, let's talk about it. I'm going to come back to Misty's and put this back up, but this just made me laugh. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's usually a duck.
Yes.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
All right, I'm putting that back up.
Do you want to do the Auntie? Is there a certain part of the story you wanted to focus on? I thought about maybe doing the Chris Proudfoot confrontation with Bobby. That I thought was kind of
very
crazy.
telling.
Oh, I think that would be that's a really great point. I think that's very telling.
Yeah, I think this is character revealing of Chris. Because one of the things I have wondered is what the Chris we see on YouTube, is that the real Chris? Like, is this just him putting on a, like, are we just kind of seeing this version of him that's not real? It's like his YouTube version of himself. But apparently the Chris we have seen on YouTube is the Chris in real life too. And her story.
Yeah. There's a couple of things real quick before you do that. Marcia, this just came up. Marcia says, Chris also said that Sebastian would never be found. I believe Chris will be wrong. I hope that's true. I do. Every day that goes by, though, it feels like it might not happen, you know. Another thing that really bothered me is in the very first interview that we talked about it feels like a million years ago, but I think on our first video we talked about that Chris says in his first interview that this will be a case that will be studied.
Yeah, for years.
For years to come. He was gone 6 days at that point. How would this be a case that's going to be studied from years to come, or for years to come after 6 days?
Yeah.
You would still have hope that this child would be found. Yes, storyteller, he did say that. It's in the very first interview with Duchess. If you go to, I think it's our first video that we put out. It might be the second one. We discuss it. Or you could just go straight to the Duchess channel and listen to it. I think it's the one that has the most views of all. Another thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Aunt E.
This is one that's kind of part of my theory. They said KP is trained in electronic security systems, computers, etc. Yes, she is an installer of Brink security systems. She knew what she was doing. They wouldn't have used their own phones, probably burner phones. That's my theory, is the two of them had burner phones that they were using to communicate with that night.
Okay, another thing, Mona Lisa AZ, it says, I don't think a thud happened. Sounds like the opposite of no noise. I do think that's possible, but we do discuss, if you've ever watched The Deception Detective, do you want to talk about that for a second?
Oh, yeah. And other analysts, linguistic analysts and people like that will say that sometimes a thing happens called slippage, like where you accidentally kind of say phrases that are revealing of the truth. Like if someone, if you knew that someone, if you were trying to hide that someone was drowned to death, you might say, "Oh, we're just drowning in leads right now." It's just you might use phrases like that aren't directly related to what.
Well, it's because our subconscious mind so desperately wants to tell the truth that you're going against your gut to lie.
Right. Like I thought about this. I don't even know which interview this was, but Katie said something about Sebastian. She was talking about how she hoped that Sebastian, she was talking about him being on Facebook and how she was hoping that his face wouldn't fall down and get covered up with nonsense. And I was wondering, is that a leakage thing?
I guess it's possible.
That he's down somewhere and has been covered up. Like, I wondered if that was an example of that.
Yeah, you did mention that, but buried. I kind of thought that was reaching a little bit.
Right, but that's what leakage is.
That's what leakage is. I know.
It's like your subconscious kind of says things that are revealing because you've got them in the back of your mind and you don't even realize you're saying them.
You want to read
Misty Fisher says, Chris also said the best thing is Sebastian went missing without leaving any evidence. Yeah, he says things like that.
These definite statements with no curiosity whatsoever, because a person,
See, if you read that a certain way, it sounds like he's complaining, but when you read it straight, he's saying the best thing is Sebastian went missing without leaving any evidence.
Right.
He is telling the truth. He does think that's the best thing, if you believe that Chris has some guilt, which I think a lot of us suspect.
Yeah. Leakage. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And if you guys haven't watched The Deception Detective, I keep telling everybody to watch everything else besides us, but The Deception Detective is amazing, and you can learn a lot from that.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Um,
Let's see. I'm looking at some other.
so we're going to reach a point eventually where we're going to have to start talking accomplices later on and go into that because it's a very realistic possibility now. And I think maybe even likely that somebody else is involved because it's kind of one of the things that's been hard is it's been like how did they pull this off, just the two of them with him in Memphis, but if you throw in a third party then it becomes much more you can start to figure out how it could have been done. So one of my questions too, let's say, I mean, we're just taking it's obvious this is a theory, we don't know, but if those flashlights were nefarious, when did Sebastian leave the home? Whether he was alive or not at that point, we don't know. But he left we think he left the home. Did he leave the home with those two individuals with the flashlight, or did he leave the home with Katie in the car, somehow hidden in the trunk? And that's the 30 minutes. And I don't know which it is. I think if it's the flashlights moment, if he's taken to that car at that point, then what is that about in the morning with her driving away? Is that for theater? Like she's putting on a show that she's searching? Or was there another purpose to that drive? Because to be gone that long just to go check beach and come back shouldn't have taken more than 5 minutes. So I don't know. Be curious if anybody has any thoughts on which way they think that might have gone. Please share those ideas.
Misty Fisher says storyteller. Bingo. Chris told on himself with that comment and many more comments. Yeah. That's true.
There's a lot of comments like that where if you read them a certain way, they read one way, but if you read them like most people tell the truth in a way. They don't like to lie, so they will say things.
It's against your nature.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Tennessee, yes, I think it was premeditated. They needed Sebastian gone 1 week before custody hearing. Granny B-Sox wants that little girl.
And we just got a private message.
Well, that would be a motivation for if you think that the family, like grandparents or someone like that, if they thought that was hindering their ability to get a family member in their family, if they thought that was the holdup, then that might get a third party involved. It's a big ask of a family member.
We got a private message from our friend
that
said, we cannot forget that the electronics have not been given, that were given have not been turned in.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're building the case. I see a lot of y'all on the chat think that they're not, but that's okay. And it could. I mean, they might not be, but I think they are. I think there's more indications that they are than that they're not. My own opinion. The accomplice, Royal Karma, believes that the accomplice is Chris's mother. The only thing about that.
Oops, sorry.
Is the
you
age.
Put that back up. Sorry.
It's the age, right?
Right.
I mean, are the grandparents the ones in the middle of the night going into the back of the house and doing?
I mean, you think about that physically.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if
I think though with them being at the store that morning, it was almost like it was okay. You wait at the store and you come over, and it does sound a little weird that she would be there that early in the morning at the grocery store, and be seen. People verified her vehicle being there, and then she was at the house almost immediately. The police dispatch. When he dispatches, they say that the mother and 4 adults were in the front yard almost immediately, family members. So 4 people got there pretty quickly, and that was in the dispatch.
Okay, so Mona's Smoke
right here
is saying, yeah. So Mona's Smoke is also saying that they think maybe that was for theater, Katie driving around.
Oh, or
merge calmer
See,
nerves before police arrive.
I
Yeah?
personally would like to see the video of Katie coming out of the house because Bobby does mention that the neighbor has the video of her coming out of the house looking for Sebastian.
And she uses
I think that video would be very telling.
she uses a word like hysterical or something.
Yeah, she does use
She does
hysterical.
say hysterical.
And so, but was that acting too? We don't know. You know, maybe. I mean, of course. Okay, so if you go with the theory that they planned this to look like he just disappeared, most of the time when things like this happens, you don't have the cavalry show up like they had. You don't have the National Guard and the sheriffs and
Right.
drones and mounted police. I mean, it was insane what the kind of response they got compared to what most people have happened.
Right. Most missing persons
You have
cases are much.
2 or 3 police come
Yeah.
up to your house and take a statement, and they tell you, well, teenagers do this. I don't think, if this was planned, I don't think they had any idea that it would be the massive police presence that they got. I don't think that anybody could have anticipated that. I think that if they planned it this way, they just thought the story would go away and they'd go back to their lives. And they just never dreamed it'd get this kind of attention.
And I think
Most of
when
them
they
don't.
thought, well, you know, when they say the statements repeatedly that they wouldn't wish this on anybody,
Mm-hmm.
I think they mean that.
Yes, I do too.
I think they mean that, but not in the way that we think they mean that, or the way that they want us to believe.
Yeah.
You know, I think they mean they wouldn't wish what has come, you know, all of the publicity and all of the people wanting answers.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
something I've, you know, slippage or whatever you want to call it. I believe they're telling the truth in that statement.
I think if it ends up being premeditated, which is what it looks like, of course, still theory. just
Yeah,
our
everything.
opinions.
Disclaimer, Aunt E.
Everything is opinion only. It's for entertainment purposes, and we do not claim to know any
We
information.
don't.
We only try to deal with the facts that have been verified. We try not to go on hearsay, and our main focus is to help find the answers to this crime or to help find this missing child and get him back home. So that's the purpose of our podcast.
Yeah, and
I don't know if this is actually a podcast though, because it's video. I don't know if that's officially called.
I'm not sure.
Video.
But also,
Video cast.
we recommend you do your own research to find answers,
No.
because we are fallible and can make mistakes.
But if it was premeditated, if that ends up being the case, I think what we're going to find is they felt cornered. They
Right.
felt like they didn't have a choice. That they were like facing prison time. They were in an impossible situation, whether it's something like prison that they were looking at, or not getting Faith back, or saving her marriage, or whatever. Katie would have to be at the center of it. That there's going to be something where she felt like she was cornered, and it wasn't a choice that she probably made lightly. I think her tears are in a way real when she's upset. When you see her in that first week, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm going too far that way. Real is not the right word. I don't think it's like, I don't know, like completely. I'm going to guess it was not an easy decision.
I would hope not.
I don't think it was like that. Like she's a complete psychopath without any
Emotion. Or yeah.
I don't know.
Well, let's read Misty's.
Sure.
Aunt E, you want to do that?
I also wonder if KB and TB somehow smuggled Sebastian to Alaska, and that's why C and Seb would never be found. C said Seb would never be found, possibly living with someone or unalived.
We were discussing this the other day, and
Yes, we were.
I said some grisly things that I don't want to repeat here, but there have been cases where people have spread out remains
Yeah.
as to, not have the remains found. They've spread them all around. So.
With enough planning, that kind of thing could be done. I mean, it is possible that he is alive that way, because if they viewed him as a problem, say to get, let's say you go with the getting Faith back in the home, if he needed to be out of the way, maybe they couldn't bring them. Maybe they did. They couldn't bring themselves to actually take a life, but thought, okay, we can hide him here, or something along those lines.
This is a good point.
I think it's unlikely, but it's possible. Samantha Lee, I think she was upset, like sending him off and missing him. Now all that's gone. She's fine. She laughs as she talks. Seth still cries.
Well, yeah, that's the one thing about Seth. People can say a lot of things about Seth, but he does act like you would, for the most part, like a grieving father. He's hurt. He's mad.
He continues to hold out hope.
He continues to hold out hope, where they've kind of just gone on with their lives.
Yeah.
They're. It's bizarre.
Carefree. I've thought she sounded carefree multiple times.
But to be fair, I will say that, there is a possibility she could be on some type of medicine to help her feel carefree. Sure. Because she's having, this terrible tragedy.
I'm sure all their doctors offered them things like that.
Yes. Just like when someone dies, doctors will offer you something to help you get through the funeral.
And they probably were all offered stuff like that by their doctors, and would have easily gotten it. So it's, right. I mean, drugs can affect your, how you appear to people. So that's valid. Do we want to play the Chris thing?
Sure.
Because I'm not sure how much longer we want to go tonight.
What's the time at?
If we want to do unless there's another one you want to do, I thought that's probably the next most interesting.
I think so too.
38-minute mark.
38-minute mark. Do you want to set it up?
Long. So we might want to do it at like maybe 1.5 if you want to do it that way.
What does that mean? 1.0 faster?
Yeah.
Sure, I can do that.
38.
Do you want to set it up while I'm getting it ready?
She sets it up pretty well herself, actually, at this. But this seems, she doesn't give the exact day, but this appears to be within the first week of Sebastian going missing, where they're still not sure what's happening. They're on pins and needles. They don't know if they've got a predator among.
The following night, she said the following night, they were.
Oh, it's Tuesday.
I wrote down following night, but then I also wrote Friday, and she said, there was a tall, skinny guy and a short female, and the tall, skinny guy had on dark black ski goggles, and that's what sent them out driving around the neighborhood.
That's what we're about to play, is that story.
Yes.
Just before we do that, I do want to say that it sounds like somebody had night vision goggles on, and they were probably looking for him in the night.
Yeah, that's what she's about to describe. Too. I think that's where we're going to have it queued up at, is that part.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought that was interesting too. She has a lot of stories about these kind of characters.
Also, we're going to play it a little bit faster because it is drawn out. So if it's too fast, let us know in the chat. And also, just to remind everybody, Olivia says, please hit the like and share and subscribe button, please. We would appreciate that.
And let's do this one real quick with KT. Because
this is a good point.
Sometimes I think that we kind of get lost in the weeds on things about, you know what I mean, where we have to get back to basics, like the shoes. The shoes are a big problem. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're looking at why it's premeditation, the last fun day was a giveaway to premeditation. And that's true. That is the biggest red flag that it was planned. Because anytime I try to come up with the idea that maybe it was accidental, like a shove or something like that, or overdose or whatever, I have to think back to that day of the steak dinners and strike and spare and all of that.
I kind of want to address this if you don't mind.
Yeah. Keep grinding up.
Yeah.
I was going to say that.
This neighbor who after 100 days comes out, turns out she doesn't even know the They live 3 streets away. Help, she might as well be in another county, another tragedy pimp. Oh. Well, I don't think she's making any money on it. So I don't know where and she says, and this happens in neighborhoods. So when you have a new development, you usually kind of know, like, because we went through this actually. So you know everybody when it's like a new development because you're all kind of in the same boat. You're all new. You kind of have that first year or so. You're all doing cookouts and meeting each other, doing dinner parties to get to know your neighbors or whatever. People are very social. Then people start moving away and new people come in, and it's kind of harder to meet them.
Mm-hmm.
And
They're more standoffish.
they're more, you don't know. I don't know. It sort of happens. So there's people in our neighborhood that we're very good friends with. But there's some I don't recognize if I see them at the store either. And we live in a similar sized neighborhood. Do you agree with what I just said?
Yeah, I don't think she's a tragedy pimp, though. I think that term gets thrown around a lot lately. Just because someone wants to talk about something doesn't necessarily make them a tragedy pimp. I think that the way she spilled it all out, it made me feel like that she had been bursting to express her views, kind of like we have. That's kind of why we started this channel, is because we talked about this every single day.
Is this called a super chat? Is that what that's called when it's orange?
I
don't know what the
I
orange
don't
one
know
means,
what
but
it
thank
means.
you, Misty
But
Fisher.
thank you, Misty Fisher.
A concerned, worried mama of a missing child does not have time or the desire to go to a motorcycle shop. Right. They're too busy searching for, getting the word out about their missing child. Katie is at peace, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, it's just the motorcycle stuff, all of that.
The motorcycle shop during the prayer vigil was pretty bad.
Yeah, that was bad. I mean,
I just don't understand if they don't understand optics.
No.
Go ahead and leave that up.
I just didn't want it to block the video.
Oh, it's okay. It's just blocking you. It's fine.
yeah.
It also covers up, my fatness. So
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
She might be at peace. We don't know. I mean, it's how she acts.
See, the thing is I always try to look at it from both perspectives, and they make it really hard for me to stay even about it. But I mean, ultimately, I think you guys know where I stand on it. But I do try to give people the benefit of the doubt. But that one thing alone, if nothing else had happened, I would have probably
Which
said,
one?
Just going to the motorcycle shop
During the vigil.
during a prayer vigil for your child that's missing.
And not going to any of the vigils.
Well, even the one in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah, and where they were going to have it private, just the neighbors. So it's not like they would have had to worry about like.
And see, that's another lie, because Chris came on one of the shows talking about how he didn't want to have the prayer vigil in his neighborhood because of all the traffic.
Right.
That they needed to move it to the school because of all the traffic. So if it was going to be a private prayer vigil with the neighbors, then why would there be traffic? Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
Anyway.
If you couldn't look more.
You couldn't look more suspicious. I just don't
even know
understand.
how
It's a book on how to not act. We did Adrian, if Adrian's still around, he'll remember. We did a whole episode of what did we call it?
Bad judgment.
Poor judgment.
Poor judgment. Yeah.
Poor judgment.
Yes,
Yeah.
It was our episode of Poor Judgment. These
I
people
wanna know
all have terrible judgment.
If Adrian's still here, did you ever write the song Poor Judgment? Just wanted to know.
He said it might have inspired a song, because we were just talking about how many bad decisions these people all make. Every opportunity, they make the wrong decision, and it's been true. It's proven true. All 3 of them have terrible judgment. The cease and desist letters, terrible judgment. Everything that Proudfoots do. Going to Memphis. I mean, it's like making yourself look as guilty as possible.
Oh.
Richard Zabilski. I want to know about the silhouette by his bedroom window. Nobody seems to say anything or elaborate about that. Yeah, she's talking about at 11:30 the light goes out and then she sees a silhouette. She says it's something like that, but she doesn't specify which window.
She
So I
talks
didn't
about it right after the garbage. That she goes into about the silhouette right after the garbage discussion.
But did she mean the silhouette was in Sebastian's window, or did she mean it was in
I didn't.
like the living room or something else?
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, she says a silhouette in the window when the light
I think
goes
that's when
out.
she's talking about the lights going out.
Yeah, but
I
which
know, but
window?
what window?
I think she meant.
She didn't say. I don't think she said, because I went
She
back
said
and
the
listened
lights
to it.
went out and there was just a silhouette. But where?
I mean, the implication was Sebastian's window, but she doesn't say it.
She also mentions the word silhouette when she's talking about who's taking out the garbage. She says the only thing you can see on the ring camera is a silhouette, and you can't distinguish who it is that's taking out the garbage. It's just a silhouetted figure, and you can't tell who it is.
Man, this story is just unbelievable.
Okay, on a side note, I have to say that yesterday was like the day of silhouettes. I've never heard the word silhouette used more in my life than yesterday. They're talking about the silhouette in the window. They were talking about the silhouette with the garbage, and then there was Tony's silhouette.
Misty Fisher said she thinks the silhouette was talking about in the dining room.
Oh, okay. Actually, now that she says that,
Okay.
I believe that.
Yeah, so I think there was two different silhouette discussions in her in her story. One was the silhouette that was seen in the dining room, and then the one at the garbage, taking out the garbage that evening.
RH says, yes, it was very confusing. Let's listen again. About the silhouette? Do you guys want to hear about the silhouette rather than the Chris Proudfoot interaction? Let us know. If 1 for the silhouette, 2 for Chris Proudfoot. Let us know in the chat right now, please.
So, Storyteller is asking, was someone looking at the house when that happened, or was that caught on video?
What?
When she sees the lights go out, was she looking out, or was that on her camera?
She said it was on the camera.
I think she's saying that
What
she
is
saw it on the
this?
Storyteller. Click right here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not buying that someone just happens to look out at the right moment. I think she's saying, that
It was caught on the Ring camera.
that it was caught on the Ring camera, and when she looked back at it later, she saw it. I
She
don't
saw
think
the
she
lights
was-
go out in the house.
If we go
Yeah.
back and listen to it, I guess we'll know.
I'm confused on what's rude. Man,
I
Yeah,
think
so-
what she said on her $10 super chat.
oh, okay.
What was rude?
What was rude about it? I'm
It was just
confused.
her opinion.
Okay. Okay. Let's see.
Okay, so Tennessee Nurse is saying it was on camera footage. I think that's what it was too, if I remember.
Mhm.
Okay, so we've got 1 Proudfoot. One was for going over the silhouette again. 2 was for going talking about Chris.
Okay, so Richard says 1 then 2, so he's just picking both.
Okay. Richard, we can't stay up all night.
Being very diplomatic with that vote. Okay, so we've got a few ones, so let's go back and listen to that part. It won't take long.
Okay, can you give me the cue?
Yes. So that was in the.
We will get better at this, guys. I apologize.
It was after the dumpster stuff. I think when she's talking about the car. Before she talks about the car.
Well, then that would be in the 2430 section.
But I'm not sure if that's the one.
So probably around 25 minutes or somewhere in there.
Right there.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm
Well,
looking
we'll
through
try
my
it.
notes.
Well,
Play this again anyway, because this is all interesting. Because we do have people that have joined late that haven't heard maybe the trash can part.
okay.
And we always. This lady gave so much information. I've picked up something new every time anyway.
That trash can part is about the silhouette at the trash can, but later on, it was after the discussion of what happened with him. So I think if you played that, you'll be able to get you'll be able to also hear the other silhouette discussion right after the what happened with Chris Proudfoot in the street.
Oh.
Oh no,
So-
Chris Proudfoot's later.
Yeah, but after that is when she also talks about.
Silhouette.
Yes.
58-minute mark. I don't know which
Oh.
one that is though. I think
Okay.
that might be the trash can.
All right. Let's just see if
Is
this.
that what you want? The trash can one?
I thought we were talking about the silhouette in the window.
Well, I think we talked about both.
Yeah.
Well, we need to make a decision. What would you like me to
If
do?
you,
You may do this one?
Do the silhouette.
I understand,
That
but
one.
which
I
silhouette?
think that one.
Okay.
This is what we played earlier. I
right.
think.
I mean, that's an extra, 20 minutes? How long does it take for the trash truck guy to go through the whole entire
And the other misconception is a lot of people are saying that they have to hand dump the trash bin in there. They don't. It's a new truck. They have an arm and it does it for them. So that was another thing where they're having to pick up these big, no, they're not. They have an arm. They roll it over to the arm, connect it to the arm, and they dump it. You can hear it. I mean, it's not quiet. It's loud. I mean, you can hear the arm doing all that. So by the time they collect the trash coming up the street though, not going down it. They're collecting it as they come up. So I guess they're probably in the neighborhood just like around 5, just before 5.
And they're out of there before the buses come,
Yes.
or the bus comes, or the you said
Absolutely.
buses. Where's trash go?
Oh, it gets dumped in either Nashville or Gallatin. If Nashville is full, they'll temporarily dump it to Gallatin. And then once, I guess, Nashville gets in whatever, then they'll transport to Nashville. The big misconception was that the neighborhood behind us, they get picked up by a different company on Tuesdays. So that's a whole different thing.
Is that construction development you're talking about?
Well, that was the dumpster that everybody was asking about. How is it possible that, whatever, that the dog hit over there as well? The second dog that was out walking hit also by the trash dumpster. And the trash dumpster owner found that out when law enforcement told him that we got a hit by the dumpster. The owner of the dumpster called them back and said, okay, we dumped our trash on this certain day, Tuesday, whatever, on that certain day in Kentucky. So you guys need to go and get a warrant, obviously. And he gave them permission to go search the Kentucky dumpster or landfill. So that's why they went to Kentucky. And then I was told that they also checked Gallatin and Nashville as well.
That night, Katie claims, the night of the 25th, that Sebastian takes the trash out after they arrive home from going out to dinner. Go ahead.
There's no specific footage of that. The neighbor that has the Ring door camera that saw that, she said to me on the phone that the only thing you can see is a silhouette. She said that you cannot see a physical person. There is absolutely no physical proof of Sebastian being at their house that night after dinner. There's nothing. There's her car coming home. My neighbor did tell me that she saw her car come, but she parks in the garage, so nobody saw him get out of the car.
What time was that? I always want to know what time she arrived home. Do you know?
I asked, and she said that it was so dark that she couldn't really see. She saw about 6 or so, I think is what she said, ish, because they went to dinner at Texas and then supposedly came home, and then her car came in the driveway around 6, and then somebody pulled the trash bin out, after that. But they don't know who it was because you can't tell.
So no evidence. Any neighbor, including yourself or any, because you all talk, the neighbors talk to everybody and said there's nothing to indicate that he was home that night. He got home with me.
There's no proof of that. Nobody ever saw him come home, or really, I mean, I don't even know if anybody can say they saw him leave with her. I mean, I don't think anybody actually looked back that far. It was so chaotic at the very beginning. I think the police were so focused on a runaway teen that was what everybody was focused on. So when they first asked to look at their video cameras, I think everybody was checking actual him walking out, but there's no proof of him physically walking out. And then it was, okay, are there any cars around there? And so going back to the whole light thing, I was told that there was an unidentified car sitting on my street facing the entrance somewhere around 3:30 or so. And then the flashlights were actually seen on the neighbor's camera, 2 separate flashlights walking in between the yards, which the trash truck does not do. They don't need to. All of the trash is at the curb. They have never, ever gone. Matter of fact, when you sign up for services, they tell you in the email their rules and regulations. If your trash is not by the curb, they don't take it. Unless, you're an elderly person, you ask them. If your trash is like in the front of your house and you ask them, they'll come and get it like that, but they won't come around the back or in between houses. That's bull monarchy. That is not how that works.
No track. You don't believe that those 3:10 a.m. lights were around 3:10 after 3 a.m. were trash truck lights.
Not only do I not believe it, but the neighbor that has the actual footage swore up and down that there are 2 different circumstances. There was the car with the lights coming towards the car backed up on Kellen and left. And then about 2-ish hours, hour and a half, hour 42, something, they're like she said, the time stamp on the video is not working. It is stuck. She said, but you can tell because it's pitch black dark in the middle of the night when the car comes down the street, turns onto Stafford, sits there for about 3 to 5 minutes. The flashlights are coming from 2 different directions in between the yards. They do whatever they're doing around the car. The car backs up Kellen and leaves from Stafford. I'm sorry, backs up Kellen and leaves. And then 2 or so hours later, as the sun is just beginning to come up, you can see the trash truck. And she said, but the trash truck goes past her driveway. She said, you can see the trash truck and the lights and the back of the truck go past her driveway, go up the hill, do its business, turn around, come back down. And then within a few minutes later, the sun is coming up. And then you can see Katie's car leave, Katie's car coming back. And then you can see all the police come in. She said, it's very obvious. So I asked her why the police are saying that that's trash truck. And she said, I don't know. I'm baffled because I tell you right now, there are 2 different circumstances and that you can tell there are 2 different time frames.
Wow. Because we've heard from Seth Rogers, and Seth is adamant that he was told or he's seen.
That's because LE has told him that.
What's up with that?
Because LE has told him that. Law enforcement has told him that.
Why?
That's the question I asked.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it was in there.
I don't
Did we
think it
catch
was in there.
Maybe that was in
No, the only silhouette that they're talking about there is at the trash can. The one that's
Right.
talking about the silhouette in the house is after the Chris story. She tells about that, and JLR asked her what's her theory. And let's see, she talks about that they were heard fighting outside between Katie and Chris periodically since they had lived there. Neighbors around them had reported it. That information was shared. And then let's see.
Let's do the Chris Proudfoot.
Okay.
Before,
It's after the Chris Proudfoot information, just a little bit
Just
after
tell me
that.
where to cue it up,
It's
and I'll put it
38
up.
minutes. I want to play the Chris Proudfoot just so everybody gets this story. Of course, is brand new to everyone, and I think very revealing about Chris's state of mind at the time that all this happened. I don't know if you want to play it quite that fast. What speed did you have?
Yeah, that was 1.5. I think that was pretty fast,
yeah,
guys.
maybe 1.2.
I think it was a little too fast.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do 1.2.
Okay. All right. Let's see. All right.
For this is the reason why this happened. The night before this, I had went to work that night. I think I did something. I wasn't home for some reason. My son was on our back deck. Now our back deck faces the.
Oh. All right. Hold on. Take that. Whoops.
What is that?
It's a because we don't
was
pay
an
for
ad.
full premium.
Oh,
Okay, hold on 1 second. I just want to address this. Whoops. Let's go ahead and show keep grinding up.
stories like this only crank up the rumor mill, like that power washer story that was debunked, that was fabricated by a YouTube creator, and that story is rearing its ugly head again. We didn't cover the. I know the story you're talking about, the power washer story. We did not cover that specifically because it was an anonymous neighbor,
and that's also she actually talks about that and she's asked specifically about the power wash story. She said she didn't hear of anyone ever saying that in the neighborhood, and no neighbors reported it. So her information to me seems more accurate because she has debunked some of the rumors that were out there. That she was specifically asked about that, and she was also asked about the mattress in the garage. That was another rumor that she debunked or said, that was a rumor that had been said, and that, other things like that about the rumor mill.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you're thinking this person is. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you're getting at there. Keep grinding.
Trying to discredit this person.
Yeah. I would just have to disagree. This lady's been pretty credible sounding, and has actually lined up with some things that we knew that we had sourced, and so it actually confirmed some things that we had not been able to double source yet. At this point, I don't have any reason to disbelieve her. I think she's at times not precise, like she's like, oh well, was this at 6:45 or 7, things like that. But I don't know which rumors she's spreading.
Well, and then they also follow up with, don't forget are in with law enforcement. They own funeral homes. They have private jets. We've never said any of those things. We don't. We
Yeah.
can't. We
Well,
don't.
This person is clearly new here and trying to just make us,
Yeah, those also are the friends with law enforcement stuff.
We haven't confirmed that.
We don't confirm.
It's my understanding.
I don't know about
the funeral home. It's my
This
understanding.
does sound like Chris, doesn't it?
Well, it's my understanding too that there's a funeral director in the family, but that being a funeral director does not mean you own a funeral home. But again, we haven't confirmed any of this, so we wouldn't talk about it because that's not our style.
Actually, this is one of those deception detective kind of techniques where you exaggerate what someone else is saying to make them. It's like when you call someone like a conspiracy theorist and you say, "Oh, well, you probably also believe in, UFOs and lizard people or whatever because they're on the right track of something." You try to make them sound. You exaggerate their claims because they're close to the truth. That's one of those deceptive techniques. It's kind of what that is. That's a good example of that from.
Okay, sorry. You want to go back to the? You ready to go back to the Chris Proudfoot thing?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody's trying to derail us so that we don't talk about the Chris Proudfoot
He
thing.
may not want to have this clip played yet again, but this one's very revealing. In some ways, we'll talk about afterward. Jazz Adobe saying this person's been saying odd things trying to distract the chat.
I think you're right. Right on, Jazz. Okay, we're gonna go on. Let's see. You ready for that? Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No sound.
No sound.
Okay. So no sound again?
It wasn't added to the stage.
Oh, well, let's try that again. Well, what she was saying, she's basically saying that they were talking about seeing the person with the night vision goggles.
Yeah.
That's all we missed. So, all right.
Kind of over in the back of the woods area, and it like walked around, stopped, walked around a little bit, stopped, and then just disappeared in the back of the woods. And so he called me and he's like, "What do I do?" And I said, "You need to call law enforcement. Like, call the number. We had a flyer, had, one of those flyers." And I was like, "You need to call the TBI and tell them and figure out what to do with that." He did. And nothing. No phone call back. No, nothing. Just, "Okay, thanks for the letter." I'm like, "Okay, that's awfully weird." I mean, you would think that they would come check that out or call you back and ask you.
Yeah, follow-ups.
Nothing. No, they didn't even call him back to ask him, like, exactly where are you? What did you see? Nothing. Nobody ever followed up or nothing. And so he was like, "That's really weird." And I was like, "Yeah, that is weird. I mean, with the missing kid, you would think they would be coming flying up here to figure out who that was." So it was the following night. So now, of course, we're all like, even more in pins and needles. Like, is people just going to just start walking around our neighborhood in the middle of the night like they were pitch black dark in the night? And so he was coming home. We were all at home and still looking around and talking to neighbors and figuring out like what the heck is going on. And he comes home and walks in the door and is like, "Mom, I don't know what to do." And I'm like, "Now what?" And he said, there's two people, a real tall, skinny guy and a real small, it looks like a girl maybe, that is walking up our street. Now, we do have families that will come out and walk their dogs at night before they go to bed, but they had no dog with them, no nothing. And the strangest part about this was this guy was wearing dark, black, wide, like ski goggles. You've been in my neighborhood. You can't see your hand in front of your face. It is so dark at night. It was 9 o'clock at night. Why is somebody walking with these big black goggles? How can they even see? Well, with everything going on, I'm thinking, okay, that's very suspicious. I got to check on that. Yes, I could have called law enforcement, and that's what was said. You should have called law enforcement. However, I didn't want to call law enforcement on my own neighbor. If it was a neighbor out walking around, I didn't want to be rude and call law enforcement on my neighbor. So I told my son, I said, "You know what? Let's go." He's got a Jeep that's got a bunch of lights on it. And I said, "Let's drive down there and turn your lights on and see if you can see somebody out there walking." I said, "I'll call law enforcement and let them know what we're seeing, and then we'll just turn around and go back home." I wasn't going to follow them. I just wanted to see if I could find them. So we're driving down my road. We turn up Stafford because we couldn't find them. Like, well, maybe they went up Stafford. We went up Stafford. Now my son's Jeep is loud. And so I didn't even think about it. I was more focused on who this person was. So he drives up Stafford and he says to me, "Hey, while we're up here, where's Sebastian's house?" And I'm like, "Oh, we just passed it." So he turns around and goes back down, and we're going slowly because I was trying to point out Sebastian's house. And so I pointed it out. And he's like, "Oh, okay." And so we drive back around and we're driving back down to the other side of the neighborhood, another cul-de-sac. And he said, "Wait a minute. Didn't you say that this other neighbor has a Ring camera?" And I said, "Yes." And she's the one that saw the silhouette in the window and the lights in the house go on and off and whatever. She's like, "But that doesn't make any sense, because if that house is located here, how can she have seen over here?" And I'm like, "Okay, go back up the street and I'll show you." So we went back up the street to show him where that house was versus this and all the whole thing. And as we were coming back up, we kind of stopped. Now, this is my neighborhood. I'm not a suspicious person. This is my neighborhood. I should be able to do whatever I want to, right? So I stop, or he stops a little bit. I'm pointing that house out, and we drive out. And I said, "Sean," I said, "honey, we got to go home." And he's like, "Why?" And I said, "Because somebody's standing at their front door." He was like, "Oh crap." And so, and I did not, God honest truth, I never meant to upset anybody. It was truly just me trying to figure out what's going on. Never meant to upset anybody. Turn around, Stafford. I'm coming back down, and Chris is, now mind you, I've never met this man, never seen him before. I wouldn't even know who he is. Matter of fact, I thought he was law enforcement. Stands in the middle of the street and puts his hand out and stops, just like this. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap." And I'm thinking it's law enforcement. I'm like, "Oh crap, we're about to get in trouble because they're going to think that we're looking for this kid or something." So right on the window, and he comes around and he stands there just like this. Just, "What are you doing out here?" And I'm like, "Holy crap." I said, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We were looking for," and I told him what happened and told him the whole story. And he was like, "Why wouldn't you just call law enforcement?" I said, "Because I don't want to call law enforcement on a neighbor. If they're out walking around, that's kind of rude." And he's like, "Well, you have no business driving around here," and started telling me in a very intimidating, very strong voice, I guess you would say, big tough, he's a big guy, kind of thing. That my son is missing, and they've got police all around here looking." I said, "Yeah, no kidding. I know, I'm aware. I've been talking to him. Trust me, I know, I get it." And then he said, there's a police, the heat sensor mobile unit things, what I'm talking about, that can detect heat sensor and stuff. Well, they had one of those up in the top, hoping that if he came home, it would alert law enforcement that there was somebody walking around, which I don't get that, because you've got families that are walking dogs anyway. So anyway, so I was like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I kept apologizing to him, and he got really upset and, kind of said some things, and I was trying to calm him down, and I apologized. And my son's girlfriend was in the back, and she thought that if she rolled the window down and said, "I am such and such, and I go to your son's school," that he would calm down. Even though I said, "Hey, I'm your neighbor. I live up there. Everything's fine. I'm sorry I didn't mean to bother you." I thought even me telling him I was his neighbor would calm him down. It's like he just glossed right over that. He didn't care. So she says, "I'm such and such, and I go to school with your son." And he stops mid-sentence to me and said, "Oh," and got stopped, looked at her and said, "Your name?" And she said, "Yes, sir." Like, "How do you know?" She only gave him her first name, and he said the whole thing. And she was like, "How do you know my name?" And I was like, "What the crap?" I looked at my son. I said, "We need to go. We just need to go. We just need to go." And I'm like, "I'm going to call the police, because this is getting, I don't know. I don't understand. I wish you could have, I can't describe." His body language was just very
It
stern.
wasn't for that people were out there looking for his son, or thinking he was more like trying to stop
"Get off
me.
my street. Get off my street. Get out of here. Get off my street. Go home. Leave me alone. Get away from us." But he told her that, "So you're the girl that runs this Facebook group and this, that, and the other. I'm going to demand you take that off. You get your phone." And he said, "Where are your parents?" And she said, "At my house." And he said, "Well, I'm going to find out where you live, and I'm going to come knock on their door, and we're going to have a conversation." And she said, "Okay, good luck with that." And I was like, "You know what? Look, we don't want to, cause any issues and whatever." I try to give him grace. Don't know the man from nowhere. And I just kept saying, he's upset. His son's missing. He's really upset. He's very defensive. Maybe that's just all that what it was. Now that I've seen some of his YouTube videos, and I'm like, yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know the back end of those details. I know we talked before offline a little bit, and you said.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that story is very, it really gives you a pretty good insight, right? Like, there's actually a few things I think from
First
that.
of all, Brownie wants to say hi.
Brownie's got to make her
Hi,
appearance.
Brownie.
Yeah. If I don't hold her, she apparently will want to play behind me on the bed. So
That it further cements the controlling nature of that man, that he feels like he can bully or control people into doing what he wants. You know, I mean, it's the first time.
That's right, Merge.
No hearsay there. Right. Yeah, that's absolutely firsthand. And he, I guess during the whole week that Sebastian's missing, is that the first time he actually leaves the lawn? Is that as far as he gets into searching? Because they don't leave the house, do they?
Well, I've heard. Well, no. Seth has said that they went out driving the first day.
That Chris did?
That he and Chris went together.
Okay.
Sorry, she wants you.
But I mean that's what you're worried about, you know? You're worried about people driving by your house, that people that live in the neighborhood. And then that comment to the girl.
That was creepy.
Maybe, yeah, that's weird. I mean, maybe he just had heard her, but to threaten to go talk to her parents and all of that. Yeah, I bet her radar went up, thinking there's something wrong with this man.
Well, I don't know really what kind of nerve he has to tell someone to get off his street when she lives in the neighborhood and actually has lived there many more years than the year and a half that they've resided there.
Yeah, but you know, I think back on how he was early on. He thought he could still control everything. Like he thought he could control it all. That he was going to keep his name from being known. That camera crews were not going to show his house. That people would just not talk about the story. And
I don't know about volunteer storyteller, but I did see a clip a long time ago of Chris telling people to from the news channel to leave and to get off his lawn and all.
That was reporters.
Yeah.
Yes, he did do that. Just that's the priority. Don't look at us anymore. Quit looking at us.
Hey, people like Brownie, and you put her on the ground.
I did.
She starts licking him, and he can't stand it.
She wants to get all up in the neck and stuff. Well, that's where she wants to go. So, I did have just a couple of other thoughts and takeaways from that. I don't want to play the clips necessarily, but just things we learned. Another thing that Bobby said is that CPS was called multiple times, and this is information she's gotten from the school, and she wouldn't elaborate, of course, couldn't. But it indicated that it was the parents that those CPS reports were about. Because we had discussed on our last episode that these CPS might have been involving Sebastian at school directly, and according to Bobby, it seems that it was parent related.
But again, this is the story she got from...
I know.
But we have other sources that might suggest otherwise, that we can't...
And there could be some of both.
That we can't divulge or talk about, but we've learned some firsthand information.
But anyway, that's out there.
Somebody said that they thought that was T-Rev and someone else out searching with night goggles. It could have been, but I think it probably was someone with night goggles, and she probably wasn't familiar with what they look like.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
That's my big joke is that, you can be on YouTube and have like 1 million subscribers and nobody knows who you are when you walk down the street.
Sure.
I think that's kind of amazing and fun.
Other stuff too was that the Proudfoots didn't seem to know anyone. That's another takeaway I took from the whole thing.
Right.
They didn't seem to have any friends in the neighborhood, or at least not many. People didn't seem to know who they were. And Sebastian was not often seen outside at all.
She actually made the comment that you wouldn't even know that a child lived there. There was no bike, no toys. She said there was nothing that indicated that a child lived there at all.
And they have said early on, they would say things like the one thing that Sebastian wanted was friends.
Oh, I think this is correct.
Remember?
Actually. That
he wanted nothing but friends, and yet they've got him,
isolated,
kind of isolated in the house all day. I don't know. I don't like to think about what likely went on in that home. Deanna M says, I think they meant Trevor Lee with Chloe. I don't know if T-Rev and Chloe
think that's correct,
has been out on searches.
I think that's correct.
I get some of these people mixed up, but Trevor, I know the names. I get them confused. Chloe, I'm familiar with, but
Yeah, you've been having problems with the T-Rev.
The T people. Too
and
many people with T's.
Trevor Lee.
I can't keep them all straight.
Yeah.
Um,
Because he's Trev time. That's why you're getting confused.
Yeah, there was another thing. Some of these things aren't worth playing the whole clip, but it's kind of interesting that she also makes note at the very beginning of the interview that Katie wasn't the first person to post on their Facebook page that Sebastian was missing, that it was another neighbor, and that Katie did it after that, and that it was kind of brief, and that was the only post she ever made on their neighborhood Facebook page about Sebastian at all.
Yeah, it was just basically a statement. My son's missing or something. It was just like barely anything.
Right, and I don't know. Maybe I don't know how everybody's neighborhood pages would be, but it seems like that would be a place where you would be trying to send out information like, "Hey guys, thank you so much for searching today. We're going to be handing out flyers. If any of you would like to come." You would be communicating with the neighbors. If you have any tips, please reach out to us. Thank you for this or whatever. And that she wasn't the first one to post on the Facebook page. Again, is it maybe not a big deal alone?
Well, I mean, I would. I don't know.
I don't know if I'm thinking of immediately the fastest ways to get the word out to find my kid. I don't know. I think we might think to hop on the Facebook page and say, guys, has anybody seen my son
but
today?
not before calling the police and searching ourselves.
Yeah, but this is like 7:30.
Oh, okay.
So this is a full hour after, and maybe she was just, like I said, it's a small thing, but it's a thing.
And she said that then the lady took her post down later. I did, if Bobby is watching, I do admin some Facebook groups. And I will say that if you go in your activity log, you can see the original post, or at least you should be able to. So,
I'm just trying to see before. I'm trying to see if there's any other. Yeah, they said they haven't really seen Katie or Chris out looking, but they did see Seth. They didn't attend the vigil. We kind of talked about that, I think. And the dogs. Did we talk? We didn't talk about the dogs at all.
We haven't talked about the dogs. And another thing she makes is the police shut down with the neighborhood and the neighbors about a weekend. Their attitude, everything changed after about a week.
Right.
Where they first were telling them things, sharing information while they were questioning and looking. And she said about a week in, everything changed.
Yes. And then, so, I don't know. I guess we'll play the dog thing or not, but.
I don't remember the dog thing.
Essentially.
Why don't you just do a summary?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to. I think most of you, probably 95% of y'all have watched a video or two about this already, I would suspect. Basically, though, the dog catches a scent, jumps into the pond, and that was confirmed by this lady's kid that was there. And that the dog handler had said nothing like that had ever happened before. But it hadn't followed a scent there. It just caught the scent at the pond. So that would indicate that maybe he stepped out of a car over there, was carried to that point and laid down. Maybe
could be something that belonged to him that was thrown in the pond.
That's a theory I've heard. Yeah.
Dropped a sock or something, and piece of paper. I don't know. Anything. It could have been anything that fell out of the pocket. It's really hard to say. And then, and then also at the dumpster. So maybe something was tossed in that dumpster. A napkin, anything could have been thrown in there, and that maybe that's what that dog was picking up on. We just may not know, because if a tiny object at a dump site like that would have been tough to find, even if the dog was hitting. And just one other thing I thought was interesting. They do talk about the muddiness of that area, and how even some of the officers were rinsing off their boots in her home after going through
in her driveway.
Oh, in her driveway.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so like a hose or something like that. Yeah. So again, and this is just a day or two after, again showing the idea of him walking through there without leaving a trail.
Right.
Just impossible to believe because of that the nature of that terrain.
Oh, this is interesting. Karen says, It felt contrived that the Proudfoots agreed to have Duchess put up Sebastian billboards. I felt like they were hesitant to even do that, but it appeased Duchess to keep her good graces.
That's a good
Contrived is a
point.
great.
That's a really good point. I will say we looked again all up and down 65, and we still have not seen any of these Sebastian billboards. So
Well, and the funds may have run out by now too.
it's my understanding another creator took over, but I don't know. It's also my understanding that creator might have received one of the cease and desist letters. So
They're blip billboards too, so I don't know how many they do on a rotation now. It used to be you'd get like 3 on a billboard, but I think there's like a 10 or 12. So we might just be getting unlucky and missing them when we drive through. I don't know, but contrived. What a great word for, I think, a lot of this.
Yeah.
A lot of what they do. I think a lot of it was scripted and planned. That's how it feels. That's how it sounds when they in these early days.
is there anything else on that you wanted to go over?
I think that's all that I had on my notes that I thought kind of stuck out. I mean, there's actually more, but I was trying to make sure we focused on the real highlights of it.
There's a lot. There's a lot in that for those of you that are really interested in Bobby, the neighbor's statement. She has a lot to say. It's very, very eye opening, and I think very credible and believable.
Well, I feel like the bombshell for this was the lights and
The car.
the car.
Yeah. The car with the lights.
Because
and, yeah. And that the garbage trucks, we can now confirm were driving through there when the sun was coming up. So it didn't happen in the dead of night. It wasn't pitch black. So there's no confusion between those garbage trucks and the flashlights. So
And I think also the fact that the police changed in the way that they were communicating with the neighbors, and we also, as a public, saw that the communication almost completely ceased. And I know the neighbor talks a lot about them, her calling and questioning the video, and them denying and saying she's wrong, and she knows she's not wrong because she knows the timeline of the garbage truck, even though they insisted that they had a timeline and it was the garbage truck.
I saw a comment earlier, and I don't know who it was from, but they were kind of saying that this is secondhand information from this lady and blah blah blah.
Oh, it was that grinding person.
Oh, was
that
it?
Might be CP pay.
Oh, well, my point for that is that it's not secondhand. This woman knows what time her trash is picked up. This woman's best friend is the person who has the video of Katie in the driveway. So I'm certain the lady has seen these things.
It was interesting that grinding, I think it might actually have been CP, because that was the exact same argument he used when he called in sounding drunk.
Not called in. Oh, called in.
Yeah, called in to Web Sleuth when he one.
No, that was he called into when he was acting like Sling Blade.
Nope, when he was angry. When he called into Web
Oh,
Sleuth.
okay, go ahead.
When he called into Web Sleuth, that was because what he got mad about was the notion that his parents were involved. That's what got him so upset, and he used that same argument about, oh yeah, I guess my family's got private planes and funeral homes, and we've got a yacht and all this. Like it was the same exaggeration of what has actually been said to try to make it sound ridiculous, and it's a form of mockery that is a sign of deception. So like when you mock someone in that way, it's a sign that they might actually be telling that the person they're mocking is onto something, and that you're trying to exaggerate it like they're ridiculous. It was so similar in the way that Chris phrased it. It made me think that grinding person might have actually been him. Never know. Might have just been an imitator or troll or whatever. But it was very similar language, similar.
Go ahead and
it
put
was
the
his
one.
style.
Go ahead and put the one you wanted back up.
I think that was a.
Sorry.
Says yes, hearing about the lights, times, and what they're saying to each other is very helpful. It reinforces some of our speculation. Yes, I think it helps us, form more theories and can kind of back up some of our beliefs just by knowing some of the things that she shared. It was eye-opening for me. And then someone else asked that they missed the video interview information. Could we share that information again?
Yes, that was on JLR, investigates, but I'm going to put it up after this is over in the description, so you can go back after on the replay and be able to see that.
Yeah, it's worth watching in its entirety, even if you watched our show tonight. We were just trying to hit the highlights of it and talk about certain things that we thought were particularly interesting, but the whole thing is worth listening to. Because she has a lot of information and gives you some good insight on what's going on in their community there.
I also saw people talking that Terry Lynn, after this, did also talk to Bobby. Apparently they went to high school together. I did listen to it. I felt like she kind of regurgitated some of the same information. I didn't hear anything new in it, but, you know, I encourage you to go over there and listen yourself. See what you think, and if you find anything, let us know. Also, sorry, I feel so far away from the mic. We got to get this mic thing worked out. We don't have enough USBs for 2 mics. We have a second mic. We just don't have enough USBs to run everything. Sorry, I've got a dog on my lap. Hold on 1 second. All right. So there's also something else I wanted to talk about real quick. A few things. Number one, our awesome moderator, Olivia, who has been working hard for us all night. Let's give her some thanks. And also, Olivia has her own channel. And Olivia, please put that link up in the comments so everybody can see it and go visit. Let's see. And then, and if anybody's interested in becoming a member, I had a thing that showed that, but I'm not good at this. Oh, there it is. You can become a member. And if you have any tips about Sebastian or information, call 1-800-TBI-FIND. And let's see. Oh, there was one other thing. There's a new story coming out of Houston, Texas that I've been following. And unfortunately, it's another autistic child that has gone missing, and I kind of wanted to highlight that just for a second, if you guys don't mind. Let me find how to do that. Let's see. I think I have to do it like this. Hold on 1 second. All right. His name is Keelan Robertson. And let's see, he is 12 years old, and he was last seen on June 3rd in Harris County, Texas. He was wearing a black shirt and red shorts, and he is high functioning. He's also on the autism spectrum. And he was last seen at the Walnut Glen Drive near Lazy Meadow Drive, just south of Fallbrook Drive. So that's a lot of drives. But I just wanted to highlight this. Here's a better picture of him.
Yes, I don't know if we have any Houston people out there or not. And we know he also did he disappear from the home is what we think.
Well, there's not a lot of information about this at this time, and I have actually been trying to do some research. I actually messaged the constable. I even put up questions in the constable's post on Facebook, and he actually took the post down after I asked questions like, did he have shoes on? What time did he go missing? So on and so forth. And I actually had a neighbor reach out to me, and she started giving me some details about that's not been available from the police. And one thing being that the police were there around, she said on her cameras, around 4:40 in the morning. And they were there for a short time, and then they came back about 6:30 that night, and then the family just kind of moved on and didn't really say things. They were out taking pictures of another son in the driveway, getting a new car. Yeah. And it hasn't been in the news. This is about as much information that's been around about this poor child. So as you guys know, we have a child who has autism. So these cases in particular really, are near and dear to our hearts. So if you guys could share that around, that would be great. We also have a Facebook group if you'd like to join. I think the link is in our description of the video or on our page. we'd love to have you. But other than that, I will be updating if I find out any more information, but it's really been difficult. It's insane how little information. I thought we had little information about Sebastian. This kid has even less. So get out there sleuthing and let's see what we can find out to help find this child.
Yeah, if you're there in Houston in particular, maybe you share it, and if you have friends there, take that picture and spread it around. Maybe somebody locally will pick up the story and get this thing some traction, because this kid's been gone for a little over a week now, I think,
Yes.
right? And so that's a long time, and so we don't know the circumstance. I mean, we don't know if this is what the circumstances on this are, because we have so little information. But if he's lost out there somewhere, there's not much press for this little kid, and share it if you can, and especially if you have Houston connections. I think that might be best. And someone mentioned that they took Mrs. E's post down. They didn't just take her post down. They took their own post down, so that any comments beneath it were also gone.
Because I was asking why a child. I was asking why a child on the spectrum had not had an Amber Alert, and then of course people argued with me, and I referenced this case and said when there's medical need like autism, an Amber Alert can be issued whether it's an abduction or not. So that's kind of the case with Sebastian. That's how they were able to get the Amber Alert up for him, is because of the medical need, which would be the same case for this child. But another weird thing is that his aunt was the only one posting about it, and I went back to go look at her posts about it, and she's locked her account now.
Yeah, and wasn't responding
to messages.
So we would have gladly, shared the story, and we will. We're going to keep trying, I think, to find more information on this as we can. Deanna M says that some creators have added Keelan to their pages, and that's good.
That's great.
The more noise that becomes out there in the community, the more likely police have to respond, or news, or it takes pressure.
The neighbor actually said, I don't know what to do. It doesn't seem like anybody cares about this child. And I said to her, the first thing I would probably do is set up a prayer vigil, because people don't realize the power of the prayer vigil. It not only, the power of prayer, obviously, but it also brings together the community, gets people interested in what's going on, and you never know what kind of tips you can get there. But it also puts pressure on, you want to alert the media, but that you're doing a prayer vigil for the child. But it also puts pressure on the police department to search for this child.
Yeah, because I don't know what their motive, what their reasons are. Maybe they're just overwhelmed and try to. I don't know. They want to focus on
weird.
other things.
It might be.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's as weird as what's been going on with Sebastian, but it's off to a crazy start already.
But I don't know. I look at this like we've got society should be protecting kids, the disabled and the elderly, and when we don't do that, we're failing. And this kid, these are the most vulnerable people that we have among us, and they're the ones that need our protection the most. And when we can't even find what happened at all, any press release about the circumstances, it's really sad. It should not be this way. Every kid should be getting the kind of attention that Sebastian's gotten.
Right. That's kind of how we feel. So, Olivia, did you share your page? Olivia has got a page, and we would all love you to go over there and subscribe to her. And Casey, thank you. We appreciate you as well. If I find out more information, I'll let you guys know. I'm going back and forth with the neighbor, and she's pretty upset. And she reached out to me. I didn't even reach out to her. She just started messaging me and telling me stuff. So,
thank you, Casey.
Thank you, Casey. And also, Nana ×9. Do you all live here in Sumner County? Yes, we do. We have a child on the spectrum. Our son has severe autism. not like Sebastian, which we should probably just do a whole show about that, about the differences, because I feel like there has been so many conflicting reports on how severe Sebastian is. And we can speak to the autism side of it,
Yeah.
Yes, we do. And what happened is we found ourselves talking about this every single night of our lives for hours. And our son said, "Hey, why don't you just do a podcast or whatever this is, video cast?" And so we got some equipment together from him, and here we are. So, and we try to be even, and we try to be factual, and we hope you guys enjoy it. And okay, RH says, "Where us Tony?"
Maybe where is Tony?
Let's see. Oh, that's true. RH says, "Keep in mind, Sebastian didn't get any coverage in the beginning. It didn't get any coverage until after Riley." You're 100%. If it weren't for Riley's strain, I don't know that. I mean, I think we would have been worried about it, but I don't think it would have gotten the media coverage and the national coverage that it's gotten.
Yeah, that's true. I'll always have those two stories tied together in my mind.
And we are going to go over some of the updates with the Riley strain case at some point.
Yeah, because there are some interesting unsolved
developments
things in that case. And of course, that
Yay.
was.
All right.
Thank you, Jazz Dobie.
Yeah.
Do we want to
I
let
think
everybody
let's
go?
let everybody go. This is the longest show we've ever done. It's like 4 minutes till 3 hours. We've never done this long.
This was such a huge interview. We just had so much we wanted to talk about. Thank you all for hanging with us and being here tonight. And keep that little boy in your prayers. It's been a week. We don't know the circumstances. Hopefully, it's something, maybe a custody issue or something that we don't know about. And he's okay.
I hope it's a custody issue. That would be amazing.
That'd be like the best case scenario. I think that it's something like that.
And that could be why they're so close-lipped. It could be a custody thing. I that was one of my questions that got taken down.
Having it taken down is not a great sign, but hopefully it's just something like that something that's has a happy ending there. But thank you all. Have a great night. Thank you for joining us. Yes, one more.
You always have to do this. See, you have to give the replay crew a topic to discuss.
Oh, the replay crew.
We're not good at this.
Well, I'm sure something massive will break in the next day or two. So we'll cover that probably because it keeps happening to us.
Yeah.
Right, where we think we have a plan and then some.
I would say talk about the 1202, but I would actually like to be live for that because that makes me laugh.
Oh gosh.
Just kidding. We can't.
Hours.
We would have to have an after hours channel for that. Yeah. Just kidding.
I hadn't thought about that. What to discuss?
No, I think we need to avoid discussing that. I was just joking.
No, I didn't mean that.
Oh.
I'm not talking about Tony.
But anytime in the comments, you can always share what you'd like us to cover next. If there's specific information about the Sebastian case or other cases that you feel like needs more attention, let us know.
Yeah, there might be other things in this interview. I haven't listened to Terry Lynn yet. I will probably do it
It's
tomorrow.
a 12-hour live, so.
Well, I'll listen to the interview. I won't listen to the
I don't
live.
see how she has the energy. I don't.
She did share a lot of the same information, but I think there's a few things that she maybe articulated a little more on that. And I'm not finished listening to it because by the time I listened to JLR and 15 other interviews today and to get caught up, I didn't get through the whole thing, but it's really interesting as well. It's got a few things in it.
13-hour live. I just don't see how that. I just can't do that. There's no way. No. There's no way. Like, this is exhausting to me to a point to where I'm gonna have to like sit and decompress for a long time.
Yeah, we have to have a wind down after. Yeah, for sure.
Kay says, I would love to hear what his teachers have to say. Our son actually shares some of the same teachers and counselors that Sebastian had.
But, I mean, you can't get them.
I can't necessarily, I don't feel comfortable getting them involved, if that makes sense. If they were to reach out to me, I could do that. But I don't feel I don't know.
Yeah, I think that
I just don't feel comfortable pulling them into something they don't want to be a part of.
It'd probably
Well,
be
and
correct.
legally, they
can't.
can't do that anyway. Legally, they can't share information about a special needs child. That's against the law. It breaks confidentiality, and as an educator, that's a big no-no. It could cost them their job. So, that's one thing with educators. You definitely don't want to ask them questions about specific children because they really can't tell you. You don't want to put them in that position.
Yeah, it'd be career jeopardy for sure.
Yeah.
I forget that you're miseducation. I forget. I should have asked you before I said that.
That's okay. But, any parent of a special needs child is going to want more information about another special needs child in that situation. So that's a common thing, and any teacher would understand that. It's just from the educator aspect, it could be it could cause them a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I didn't think about it. Sometimes I say things without thinking. You guys will learn that. So,
Well, there might be some things that we hadn't covered within the case. I know, like even the flashlights we had not discussed until during.
okay, yeah, that's a good one.
There
Why
might
don't
be-
we ask?
Are there any aspects of this that we have? Because tonight was the first time we've ever mentioned the flashlights, although we've known about them.
Yes.
Is there a corner of this story that we haven't kind of?
And we had a couple people comment that they didn't think it was flashlights. They had other ideas as what they thought the lights were. So I thought that was interesting.
See, I feel like when you watch that whole video that's unclipped, that's the whole entire area, it's even more, for lack of a better word, damning as far as evidence.
Yeah, it really.
It really looks bad.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe that's part of the reason Ellie was so mad that Nick Barris got his hands on it. So,
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they're not happy about that at all.
but anyway, maybe tell us your thoughts about the flashlight video. Do you think that it's something flashlights? Do you think it's lights from the garbage truck? Do you think it's the solar lights from their house or their floodlights, or what do you think it is?
Cell phone lights.
Cell phone lights.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, it could be the flashlight on the cell phone.
It could be.
Yeah, I think that's likely.
I also think it's weird that he took a flashlight, though. That she mentioned he took a flashlight. No shoes, a flashlight, and his glasses.
Not his 3 black T-shirts.
And no, and the 3 black.
She didn't mention that either.
Okay.
It keeps coming back.
Headlamps, Karen Powers says. Exactly.
Oh yeah,
That's a good point.
That could be.
That would make more sense because you can see better with those.
And that would look like about the power that we're looking at.
Yeah.
Like, because it doesn't look like big mag lights or something. It looks like some kind of small flashlight.
Ooh.
So those
Joan said the
head types might
solar lights can come out of the ground. And they don't have a wire. They can pull them out and use them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, though. We've used solar lights camping before, and they don't give off a lot of light. Not enough to even see barely anything in front of your face.
Yeah, I know what she's referring to, because they mentioned that they have the solar lights around the
But
house.
she might have nice ones. We have cheap ones.
Well, no, Katie mentions that she has them.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying Katie might have nice ones. We have cheap ones that you can barely see anything with.
But then you would also see that
Yeah,
they're missing.
She does talk. Sorry, we're getting pulled back in.
But if they took the solar lights, then the Ellie would have probably noticed the 2 missing.
Well, they
solar
might.
lights.
Could they have put them back? They could have. They probably would. They said there was no disturbance in the mulch and stuff.
Around the window.
Yeah. So.
Of course, they lie.
Okay.
So they might
Well,
be lying about that too.
At any rate, we should wrap this up.
Yes. Sorry.
Now that we're over 3 hours.
I know.
Yay! It's our longest.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys for sticking around. You guys are the best. You make us so happy, and we love talking with all of you. Please come back and see us. We are going to get a regular schedule if I can ever get this one nailed down. And when I say this one, I mean this one.
Yes, that means me.
Aunt E would love for us to have a schedule, and I would too.
Yes.
So if you have any special days that you would like us to do this, please let us know. Right now, we're kind of doing it when we have time. And other than that, thank you guys so much. Thank you to the new members. Thank you to Misty and everybody for the super chats and things. Just thank you guys so much. I can't tell you how much we appreciate it.
Thank you. Y'all have a great night.
Thank you so much.
Have a great night.
Thanks, everybody.